Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
It doesn't seem like any of us are supper people in here.
I was a supper person.
I was
for a
too,
long
and I
time.
moved away from it.
I hate supper. People who call dinner supper call lunch dinner, and these people trigger me.
Dinner is only lunch on weekend, on like a Sunday.
My grandmother would call supper a snack between lunch and dinner, and then sometimes dinner would be dinner, but dinner wouldn't be dinner. I didn't understand these etiquettes.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from a Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Monday. Expect snow to pick up in the metro mainly after 9 a.m., then continue through the rest of the day, heavy at times through the p.m. hours. Temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Snow continues overnight, lingering into Tuesday morning as winds ramp up. Storm totals around the metro between 5 and 9 inches. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dream Time Saving Traffic Center. Hope you had a great weekend. There's no accidents to report. However, westbound Dodge is reduced to one lane at 84th due to a water main break. Roads are cleared with no snow falling as of right now. If you're on the road today, make sure to bundle up and plan ahead. And as always, buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck by playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there are only 2 trucks left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Get pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Bills beat the Dolphins 21-14 to win the AFC East and clinch the number 2 seed. Dolphins fall to the 6th seed. They're going to travel to Kansas City. Cowboys dominated the Commanders 38-10. They clinched the NFC East. The Bucs won their 3rd straight NFC South division title by shutting out the Panthers 9-0. They will play host to the Eagles. Philly has lost 5 of their last 6 games after falling to the G-Men 27-10. The Packers sealed the final NFC wildcard spot with a 17-9 win over the Bears. They're going to travel to Dallas. The Jags lost 28-20 to the Titans. By virtue of that loss, the Texans win the AFC South. The Steelers earn a wildcard spot. They will face the Bills, and Rams wideout Puka Nacua set the single-season rookie record for catches and yards. Also, the Falcons on Sunday night announced the firing of head coach Arthur Smith. He went 7-10 in each of his 3 seasons in Atlanta. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game. Face facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund has belonged to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
At Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands, one youth, one mentor, plus one moment could unlock limitless potential. When you sign up to become a mentor, you're matched up 1-to-1 with a child in the Omaha community. Sign up today at mentoromaha.org.
Over the past few years, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected how we live our daily lives. Today, we also face a mental health pandemic that threatens our well-being as we attempt to rebuild our social networks and communities.
The pandemic has reminded us to value family, community, and our human connections. However, it has also left many of us feeling more isolated, confused, and alone, struggling to find meaning amid loss and uncertainty.
Today, 1 in 5 Americans experience emotional and mental health challenges, but many of us do not understand what we are facing or know how to ask for help.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, we understand what you are going through, and we are here to help. Our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all. We work every day to eliminate stigma, combat mental illness and substance use disorders, and advance mental health. If you or someone you love needs help, you are not alone. Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
Roofing, siding, and gutters. Make the right call with the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
1620 The Zone.
Jake Bailey punts this one away. It's a wobbler. Backing Hardy up to his own 5. Gets to the 10, to the 15, through a hole to the 20. 25, 30. He could go. 50, 40. They're not going to get him. Deontay Hardy going the distance for the touchdown.
First and goal. Prescott back. Throws it in the back of the end zone for Lamb. Is that ball picked off?
No, he's got it.
Oh, he's got it. Touchdown, CeeDee Lamb. Prescott's in the gun. Back to throw. Looking right. Scrambles left, still got it, scrambles back right, throws it in the end zone, caught for a touchdown in the back of the end zone by CeeDee Lamb. Snap is back, looking right, throwing it right, Cooks right side of the end zone, perfect throw, my goodness. Touchdown, Brandon Cooks.
Live from 50th and Capitol Avenue in the Big O. This is Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and 1620 The Zone TV. Now here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy.
Here we go! Here we go!
All right, good morning, 1620 Zoners. It is a Monday morning where outside it feels like the calm before the storm. It's nice and peaceful in Omaha.
A little rain.
Not too cold.
I didn't get the rain.
Okay, a little drizzle on the way out.
I have my time lapse that is set up on my deck to see what's going to happen. So we're supposed to get 5 to 9 inches. The streets are pretty barren because schools are not in session today. A lot of people are going to work from home.
Yep.
So
that's what we do in 2024.
We all wait. You know, like around here, we've been lucky enough with the winter weather. Now we kind of pan the meteorologists because this is like their Super Bowl. They're all super excited.
Oh yeah.
They are on wall to wall snow coverage. I remember when I worked at KLIN in Lincoln, we're a news talk station, so we would cover like Snowmageddons.
Yeah.
So we'd be out and about in it.
You guys would storm chase too?
Yeah, I love this deal. I'm just going to do a show and I'm going home and I'm going to watch it snow.
Exactly. Jim and I were talking about it before. Like, hey, at least we're the lucky ones. By the time we get out of here is when it'll just start.
Yeah, I feel for the midday guys, the afternoon guys are probably going to cash it in and stay at home. At least that's what I would suggest.
Johnny's not coming in from Lincoln, right?
No.
Why would
you know what? I don't even think he's on the show today. Because doesn't Creighton go to Chicago?
Oh, you're right. Yep.
One of their coaches told us they're leaving tomorrow morning now because of the storm.
Really?
Oh.
But your point still stands that he probably will make
much disrespect for DePaul.
Yeah, like, we can do it morning of.
You're 3 and 10. we're showing up. It's a show and go.
Yep.
What time is tip? 8? How long does it take to get to Chicago? With traffic? Well, if we leave Omaha at 4:45, We should be there.
We're not even taking BP. Show and go in and out, and let's play the game.
Quick shoot around. All right, guys, get dressed.
But usually you have the OmaDome, so we're kind of
Come on.
lucky around here.
Yeah.
But I think I got to be honest. My meteorology minor, I looked at the models.
Oh,
and if you are in the business of moving snow, today into tomorrow is going to be a very productive day for you. If you have a brand new snowblower that you got for Christmas, man, I hope you have that thing polished up and gassed up or charged up or whatever you do to get it going, because you're going to have to use it. I think we're going to get about 5 to 6 inches of wet snow, which is not the easiest to shovel. So be very, very careful out there if you are shoveling. But yeah, I think for the first time in a while, we're going to get some real winter weather in Omaha.
Last time, I will say this though, if you are someone that's hoping it's not as bad, the last time that I fueled up the snow thrower the day before, I didn't do anything.
Well, see,
it was very minimal.
See,
so
that might be
I did last night.
Something to watch, because usually when they cancel school, then we get like a little dusting.
It's exactly what my wife said last night. She goes, up because we're right before we were watching in fact, I think it was right as the Bears-Packers game and a lot of the 3:00 games were starting. You started seeing all of the closings coming in. My wife said, that means tomorrow's not going to be that bad.
Yeah, I would love to believe that way, because I do not like snow. I was not real happy to wake up in Idaho yesterday, and there was a lot of snow as we took off, and then it took an hour to de-ice in Idaho Falls.
That's never fun.
But you said it was pretty there, so there's that.
It is a very beautiful area. It reminds me a lot of Montana, and we're like 108 miles from the one of the entrances to Yellowstone. Beautiful area, but it was snowing hard yesterday. So I'm not a huge fan of the snow, but we live in the Midwest, and we have real winter weather that is going to be on the way. So
here we go.
Prepare. And I know a lot of you did. So yesterday, this is what happens before storms. Everybody goes to the grocery store.
Did you go to Costco?
I did not even try to go to the grocery store yesterday.
No. Oh, I got home, and I was home enough to early enough to get like halftime of the noon games
to watch Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. Hey, a win is a win, baby. A win is a win.
Oh, don't I know? I would love one of those.
No, I did not go to Costco, but I do know, because I drove by my grocery store. It was packed. But here's my question about when we get a winter storm in this neck of the woods, as they like to say. How does beer break into the essentials? Because milk, bread, and toilet paper are the 3 key essentials for people during a storm. How do I get beer to break into one of those?
It should be. If it's so, I think it's a event driven like priority. And what I mean by that is, what was it? 09 or 2009 or 2010 when we had a horrible.
It was 09.
Yes, winter storm during Christmas.
I don't know. I was probably 75.
Yeah, you were probably like, I got a little cold. It got down in the 60s.
Looks bad back home.
But it was a blizzard. It had been predicted for like over a week, and so everybody's making their holiday plans. In fact, people were even going as far as saying, if you got to cancel your Christmas plans and postpone them for a few days, go ahead and do that. So that was happening.
Goes well in this part.
I was living in Columbus, Nebraska at the time, so I made my venture back home a day early, and I remember going and stocking up. We bought like cases of beer because we knew we were going to be
smart,
staying at the parents' house for probably a little bit longer than we needed to. So if it's one of those things you think you're going to be sort of sheltered in place for over 24 hours, that's where I think beer is an essential.
Yeah, I don't know why toilet paper still sits there. Did we not learn anything from the pandemic when we ran out of toilet paper? That you're supposed to hoard from your employer?
Yeah, that is true.
Like I stole a lot of toilet paper from not here, but other places.
Like a...
like I've done that from an employer. Did that with Clorox wipes.
Not here, because they started to do count. They would count daily during the pandemic of how much toilet paper they had.
Please tell me you're kidding.
No, they would.
Really?
I believe it.
Well, remember, you weren't here, but we had a shower curtain that separated where you're sitting and I
heard about that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You guys are not for the see, we had the plastic glass
bubble boy.
Yeah, or the little the plexiglass dividers is what we used.
We had to wear gloves when we came back.
Oh yeah, I heard you guys saying that. Okay, so you wore
that
gloves
I did not
too.
know.
Were they like rubber gloves or just
isotoners,
like lawn gloves?
No, they were like surgical gloves with,
with
latex.
Yeah, all right.
And somebody that worked here at the time, they don't work here anymore. They had a allergic reaction to latex.
Yeah, that's actually more common than people
realize. Not only
realize.
did they get COVID, but they had a latex reaction.
They had spots all over the body.
Yeah. So good luck to everyone
What a
out
time.
there. Be safe, be smart. I think this is real. But we all know how to handle it.
At least you have football tonight.
We do have football tonight. We have
Yes,
the
we
national
do.
championship game between Washington and Michigan.
Turn on the fireplace and enjoy.
You got a fake one or a real one?
Fake
ones are
not
becoming
real.
very popular.
It's not. Well, it's.
They
I mean,
look
it's
like
a
a
gas. It's a
fireplace,
gas
but they're not.
fireplace.
Okay.
So it's real-ish. I'm not. You don't have the crackling of the logs or anything going on.
There's a channel on Pluto that has a fireplace on it. We just go with that.
Yeah,
Let's
just
clean up.
and
Doesn't smell
then
bad.
crank the heat up.
Well, I like if you have YouTube TV, sometimes when they don't run a regular commercial, they'll run 30 seconds of Zen.
Yeah, the Zen.
Oh, yeah.
And last night there was a fireplace on there that was crackling.
Yeah, you get the crackling fireplace with the babbling brook.
Wow, I'm not even going to get out of bed. But welcome in, everybody, on a Monday. Let's do some radio. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Jimmy here as well. We live in a world of sports, and we kind of had one of the saddest things happened yesterday that always happens. It's like death and taxes. Is this thing's going to come up? When you get up on the screen when Scott Hansen signs off for the final time and that the red zone is done.
I got emotional.
I mean, that's a sad point
It is.
of the football season. And tonight is the last college football game. We have like 32 Saturdays before we have actual games again. But we do live in a football world where the Super Wildcard playoffs matchups are set, and we have Cleveland and Detroit are in the postseason. And we also in the football world have Dana Holgerson attached to a job at Nebraska in some role. What is going on? Welcome to
Happy Monday.
2024, everybody. But the Super Wildcard matchups are set. Last night, if you went to bed, the Josh Allen experience was on full display, and Buffalo found a way to beat the Dolphins. So Miami, where it's going to be 0 degrees at kickoff Saturday night in Kansas City.
But a dry heat, so you won't feel it.
where they banged up Miami Dolphins, and the whole Tyreek Hill is back, so I imagine he'll be on his best behavior. That is set, and Buffalo wins the AFC East
again.
And whose fall was like more jarring, Philadelphia's or Miami? Two teams that were in line to get the number one seed. Now Philadelphia's schedule was tougher, but man, Miami will kick themselves for that loss to Tennessee on Monday night for a long time.
They will. I still think Philadelphia, though, just watching them. And yesterday, now we'll see what conversation where they're getting ready to play the Niners. Gosh, it felt like it was like 2 months ago. And you'd mentioned that not liking the Eagles. I'm like, I think I like the Eagles this week, but I still like the Niners to be they were still my NFC pick to win the Super Bowl. God, ever since then. And
ever since they won
they were trending. Yes, they were trending in that direction, man. And it was weird. Yeah, okay, so the Chiefs game too. But I remember Jalen Hurts talking after some of those wins of, the good news is we still haven't really played our best football. And, we're finding ways to win. Now, all of a sudden, they're not playing their best football, and they're not only finding ways to lose, they look like a shell of themselves right now.
Well, Jalen Hurts got exposed.
He has.
I think Jalen Hurts got on a heater last year. Jalen Hurts has gotten exposed, and he might be injured or whatever. But they are flopping.
Yeah.
I mean, they got to go play Tampa Bay, which kudos to Todd Bowles. No one ever talks about Todd Bowles. They're talking about Baker Mayfield. But
Don't forget about
Tampa Bay, that's 3 straight titles, and they get to host Philadelphia. Philadelphia is flopping so much that I'll be curious. Brett Ciancia, who's a diehard Eagle fan, going to join us to talk about the Washington-Michigan game tonight in the next hour. I mean, is Nick Sirianni on the hot seat? Yesterday was a wild day.
Apparently there's rumors.
Because today is Black Monday, and Arthur Smith has already been fired.
Right.
His
his last day with Dennis Allen.
Well, you knew you were done when you went into the season as Desmond Ridder was your starting quarterback.
Right.
So he was already up against it. So there's one down. People already know Ron Rivera will be out. How will they handle the Bill Belichick thing? That's the next thing.
We got the breaking news ready.
So it will be busy today, but Nick Sirianni, I mean, that's a major fall. What Philadelphia, and it appears that things are not right in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I would agree.
He looked like he was cracking a little bit after the game last night too. It's just something's off, something's broken.
Oh, they are. That's a great word, Jimmy. I think the Eagles are broken. And then AJ Brown got hurt yesterday.
Hurts is even more banged up.
And the Dolphins part of it is, I think people have still kind of talked about them as, all right, let's see what they look like when they get to the playoffs. Because again, what do they have? One victory, and of significance, really. And it's just a team right now that I don't know if I just think there were more expectations for what we've seen in Philadelphia, what they did last year, and coming up just short in the Super Bowl, and essentially coming back with that your entire roster intact, at least for the most part, that you will have in an NFL season without the normal attrition. So I just think there was more expectations for Philadelphia. Miami got off on the heater, and then, of course, the gaudy numbers that they were putting up. But I still think that there was maybe, at least from my standpoint, I think there was a little bit more expectation on Philadelphia being able to use what they did last year and being able to kind of flex right back into the playoffs. And that is, I mean, they're in the playoffs. We can say that about them, but I don't think anybody is putting their smart money on them right now.
And the Finns are plagued by injuries. I mean, Van Ginkel went down again last night. They're already out Phillips. They're already out Chubb. Now they had to come to Kansas City and play on a Peacock game on Saturday night where kickoff is going to be 0. The Chiefs' 14th straight home playoff game. I am bummed a little bit. We'll get into the whole Peacock thing because we got to welcome some new people to this whole world of streaming and exclusive.
Good morning, Swifties.
Because people are upset, and that's a big reason why the NFL did this. Peacock and NBC doesn't pay $110 million to get the Eagles and the Bucks. No, I think whenever the Texans are in the postseason,
they always play the first day on Saturday.
They have to play that 3:30 game.
They always do.
It's required by the Pete Rozelle law.
Yes, they always
but
do.
NBC is paying $110 million for a couple of exclusives on Peacock, including a playoff game. I mean, no brainer that they were going to get one of the brands, but even more so, they're getting the Swifties. So they put Kansas City and Miami. I was, regardless of what the temp was going to be on Sunday, and I know it's it was going to be cold on Sunday because I thought they would put it in the late window or maybe the Sunday night game.
You were thinking about going?
I was going to go.
Yeah.
I was going to go because that's more than likely going to be their last home playoff game of the year. But now it's the Peacock game, and everybody is upset. Well, if you are around here, we all know that the Big Ten is tied into Peacock. You may have gotten Peacock from Maryland, and you said, I'm out. And then you realize, oh, dang, Nebraska basketball the following weekend is playing on Peacock. I got to go back and get it. That $5.99 keeps adding up. Well, Nebraska-Purdue tomorrow night is on Peacock.
Yep.
So if you've kept Peacock, and Nebraska basketball still has, 2 more games that are on Peacock?
Yes, I believe so.
I mean, we all got to live with the $5.99. I was a little bit surprised by people like, I can't believe this is happening. Do you not know the NFL? The NFL has us by the balls.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
They can.
The NFL is the biggest thing going. They are too big to fail, and they're going to keep going right back to the trough as long as possible until we say no. What are we going to do? Collectively say, I'm not watching. I can tell you, they'll get a huge number to watch a playoff game. And the NFL will again get huge numbers on the weekend because, I mean, it's fun. Yeah, they got us, and we can't quit them. But it's a storyteller's dream if you look at all the matchups this weekend. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Detroit, LA, and the Stafford Bowl. Like, I mean, yes, these are great storylines.
If you're a Detroit fan, you're going to get your full fill of Kelly Stafford all week. She might be one of the most annoying people out there. People in Detroit, you're going to get it. Now, I don't think it's hate. I mean, I think it worked out well for the Rams and the Lions.
This isn't a
Stafford
rival.
coming back. But
there's no bitterness.
She's a little bit polarizing. But that's the game of the weekend for me. Is the Lions and the Rams. But there are so many, there's so many storylines. Like Mike McCarthy, you got 3 straight 12-5 seasons. You're probably on the hot seat because you're your owner. Now you got to face the Packers.
Kind of a fun, youngest team ever to make the playoffs too.
The NFL, who is writing all of these scripts because, God, you're doing it well.
Yes, they are. And remember, Jimmy, you remember this, the last time the Packers and Cowboys played and the Mason Crosby walk-off? That game was pretty crazy as well. I mean, those two put on some good postseason performances.
Like I said, I'm just preparing for the inevitable kick in the nuts. It's coming. It's coming. It's just a matter of which week.
Then you'll get Belichick or Harbaugh or something like that. You'll be fine.
Unless the Eagles go get him.
A little bit later, coming up on the show, as I mentioned, Brett Cianci will join us, part of the rooferees from John Higgins Weather Guard, the lineup. We have Washington and Michigan tonight. Michigan is a favorite. The one thing I'm excited about this game tonight is that once it's over, we can finally get rid of Jim Harbaugh talk. Either he's staying or going. Nobody knows. But that is more of a discussion point than probably the inside of the game is what is Harbaugh going to do?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game.
It could be great for Michigan. Okay, Michigan could win a national title tonight. And I hope you celebrate it and you forget about 97 that we shared a national championship with y'all. Okay, celebrate it.
That team.
But be careful. Be careful. If you say, oh, thank you, this 3-year rebuild project that Michigan has undergone. Thank you, Jim Harbaugh. Man, Michigan man, you've done it. Go to the NFL. I don't know. You remember what Michigan was like before Harbaugh took over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily we got our national title and everything is nice and dandy. But I'm just glad that the fatigue of will Harbaugh stay or will he go will be over after tonight's game, because I do think that Michigan will win the national championship tonight against Washington. But Brett will stop by at 7:30. Jacob Bigelow in at 9. Nebraska basketball with a huge game tomorrow night against Purdue. Number 1 Purdue. Will be at Pinnacle Bank Arena in Nebraska, coming off their loss to a really good Wisconsin team.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, got to give Smarmy Man, Greg Gard, some props. They're getting better every week. And all of a sudden in Madison, they have an offense.
Yes.
Man, I think I've moved on my power ratings. I think Nebraska is going to play back-to-back the 2 top teams in the Big Ten. I was impressed by Wisconsin.
And see, I
was really impressed.
And I know we can discuss that a little bit later on. I'm not nearly as dejected if you would have told me the score and the way that game was being played out the whole time about Nebraska as much as I was impressed by Wisconsin. That was my big takeaway was Wisconsin. They couldn't miss. They got good bench production. Connor Essegian, it was almost at one point felt because at one clip Nebraska wasn't playing bad offense. They just couldn't keep up. So any empty possession was going to lead to a 6 or 8 point run on the other side. So Wisconsin was very impressive. Tip of the cap.
And they're the second best team in the league. I would put Illinois now at 3rd, but they're the second best team in the league. Somebody might want to do something with Minnesota and move the Gophers up. Ben Johnson is going to make the agents of Nico Medved, Craig Smith, and Darren DeVries very upset.
We're talking about that on Friday. The Minnesota, we always talk about the worst 20 minutes of basketball for Nebraska this year was that 20 minutes against Minnesota. Then you start to look at what Minnesota's doing right now, because I remember that next day saying, that is not a good Minnesota team. And remember, Dawson Garcia didn't play most of that game. That wasn't a good Minnesota team. That one against Ohio State, that's something. I mean, they just keep winning. That's all they've done since they beat Nebraska is win games. So
yeah, they were impressive last night against Maryland. I didn't realize they hadn't beaten Maryland in a long time, and they beat Maryland last night. So Jacob will stop by at 9, and then Amy just at 9:30. Amy wrote a column. So she went to the Devaney Center to watch Nebraska wrestle over the weekend against a duel against Wyoming and UNI, and a guy named Nash Hutmacher showed up, who is sharing his weight loss plan with everybody. When you are eating 8 eggs a day, cut down to 4 and see what happens. Also get rid of that soda. So Nash wrestled for the first time this year, and that brought a lot of attention to Nebraska wrestling, brought a lot of crowd, brought his teammates, his coaches, and Dana Holgerson.
Bring your own Red Bull.
Hey, if you want to get a scoop on Nebraska football, man, this is a great marketing tool for Mark Manning and his program. Just go to the Devaney Center and watch Nebraska wrestle. Dylan Raiola was there.
Yeah, he was there before he went to the Nebraska women's game that night.
Nash Hutmacher is there, and look is that really Dana Holgerson in the crowd? Well, damn, it is.
Just loves
what's going on. Yeah, so Nebraska, Iowa wrestle at the Devaney Center on Friday. So we'll see what I'll be there.
I was going to say, you're going.
Iowa JD is invited me. Iowa JD, I think he's a season ticket holder for Nebraska wrestling. So I will be his guest.
Yours plus one, yeah.
And
all right.
I'll just make sure he's wearing Nebraska gear.
You guys are umping partners. Now you guys are wrestling buddies too.
Yeah, I don't know about umping partners. I only did it one time. He never called me back. And I thought he had a good stint out there in Papillion. I don't know what happened.
Do you guys do grades afterwards? How'd you grade out?
PFF. I don't know. He basically said, you got to go because I got like 6 other games that day.
He goes, okay, this was fun.
But Amy was there, and she got emotional. I read her column yesterday. That was like an emotional moment for her. I saw more.
Seeing Dana?
I saw more wrestling tape on Nash Hutmacher than I ever saw football tape when he was coming out of South Dakota.
Yeah.
He's 166 in love.
Yes.
As a wrestler. I mean, he just mauled people. I don't think I saw a lot of football tape on him. Everything I saw was him wrestling.
Yeah, I think it was more talked about with the type of wrestler he was than the actual football player. Like, yeah, he's good in football, but man, have you seen him on the mat? So yeah, it's kind of fitting that now all of a sudden we see it come full circle. Now he's back on the mat.
And there is so much with wrestling and being a lineman in football that go hand in hand. And he had a cut down to 285. So just reading his comments, it sounds like he was at about 330 during the season. Now, if you look at like in November, he looked like a lot bigger, like heavier.
Yeah.
He dropped 45 pounds just to now?
Yeah, well, it's about 6 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah, so once the football season ended, he wanted to wrestle, and Mark Manning was like, yeah, as long as your head football coach says yes. And they're like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he dropped that much weight in about 6 weeks. Now, he said afterwards, and we talked last week about being a star. He's a guy that I think is a star. I mean, I know that he signed a friend of mine, kids got his autograph the other day after getting done wrestling. So he had like this long line. And, he's probably Nebraska has some really good wrestlers that'll be in the mix for NCAA place, but he's the most recognizable guy. It could actually work out well for him with his agility that he lost that much weight and he sees how quick he is. He won't play at that weight next year. I would imagine he's probably got about 15 pounds that he will add. Yeah, it actually could work out really well for him on the football field, getting in shape for wrestling so he could weigh in at 285.
Yeah.
And then he's probably walking around weight, he's probably about 290. I think it'll benefit him greatly to play around 300 and be more agile with what he had to do to get in shape for wrestling.
That is still, even in a 6 week span, just a month and a half span to drop that type of weight and just making slight adjustments in your diet like that as well. But I just think if you're back in wrestling and you are someone who is very, very good at that too, and now knowing sort of where he projects at the next level as a defensive lineman too, this is kind of one of those things when we talk about high school athletes and you want to see them playing multiple sports, but also it's, there's the whole structure part of it. There's the different types of condition you go through too. But again, as we talked about many times, the footwork, the agility that it takes for defensive linemen and offensive linemen, if you are in wrestling too, and you get a pretty good idea of how athletic those big bodies are. But it is interesting too, to think about the type of training that he's also going through and what he's putting his body through and being able to show that quickness. Like, to me, that's a pretty tough prospect if you are a team that's going to play Nebraska, have to deal with Nash Hutmacher, and having gone through that again, having seen him now be able to sort of kind of reshape his body and go through a winter that he's going to be competing on the mat. I think that's only a plus for him, and that's going to be a dangerous concept for their teams.
How do again, Nebraska wrestling is a really good program, and Mark has kind of turned things around when I thought, wow, this isn't, 4 or 5 years ago wasn't going so well. But they're in the nation's most difficult conference for wrestling. And they're off to a really, really good start. I'm just curious on the diehard wrestling fan, Nebraska wrestling fan, if you thought it was cool that a football player came and brought attention, or you're like, oh.
I tend to think a little bit of the latter, just because it's a group that they know what's going on with the program. They know all of the wrestlers. And then now all of a sudden you kind of get a little bit more of the casual fan, more of the football fan that is now going to gobble up some tickets, going to be there, probably doesn't know nearly as much about wrestling as a lot of these true fans do. And I understand sometimes that can be a bit annoying. So I think there could be a little bit of it's cool to see them, but you kind of roll your eyes with you start to get the bandwagoners that will pretend like they've been wrestling fans for a very long time. People like me.
Well, but the program leaned into it. Look at the graphic they put out.
Yeah.
Of Nash.
Okay.
It's a sport that is very popular in the state, not as popular as the other side of the river. Doesn't get the media attention that it used to when the World Herald had a great, and I always forget his name, great wrestling writer. And now, Nick Rubeck covers wrestling for high school wrestling, and he loves it. He has a super passion for it. But the program leaned into it, having a football player come. That's probably the most attention they've gotten all season. Now, hopefully, people that came and said, man, I want to go watch Nash Hutmacher wrestle, they say, you're wrestling Iowa on Friday?
Yeah.
At home? Huh? So I hope that's probably the benefit. And then you go, man, that dude there, that dude there, that dude there, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So that's coming up on Friday. So Amy was there. And we'll get her thoughts on a multitude of things. And Nebraska football. Nebraska football had a good weekend. They had a really, really good weekend. I don't think you can disagree with what happened this weekend with 2 commitments out of the portal and a Dana Holgerson sighting. He's 52. Doesn't he seem older? He seems like
lived hard.
Then he's in well, yeah. He's very arrogant.
Yeah.
Which is a weird fit for Rule's current staff. But this is all about winning, so
And he knows a couple things about spreading out and passing the ball.
he does. We'll get into what the possibilities are there. But I thought he was older than 52.
That felt about right because I remember
he must have got started early.
Well, always
like at
seen
Tech
him
and Oklahoma State and other places where he was an OC.
Because I remember seeing him on the sideline with Mike Leach a lot because you'd always see like who's that guy with the wild hair and just kind of he just stood out. He looked pretty young then, but I mean to your point, Jimmy, and especially his time at West Virginia. The guy's lived a hard life, as the hairline has gone back, the hair has gotten longer in the back too. And that, and I was it like in 2011, he was linked to a lot of alcohol related incidents back then too. So there's
industry term.
Yes.
Whether all of that stuff, you vet a guy.
Oh yeah.
It's not the off the field allegations or all of that stuff.
And they're allegations.
All the rumors or anything like that.
Allegations.
All right. They ain't going to fly with the man in Lincoln. I mean, the man in Lincoln wants to win. The man in Lincoln has admitted a fault. The guy that he was seen with over the weekend fixes one of those faults.
He can help.
It's just he's a very arrogant person. Okay. And if you look at Matt Rule's current staff, it's a weird fit in terms of personality.
Yes, because that's not a staff that comes across that way.
But we don't know what the role is going to be. That's the other thing. But if you have said openly that the problem with us is we do not have a lot of innovative offensive minds and somebody falls into your lap to kick the tires on that definitely has an innovative offensive line. I don't care if he doesn't like to recruit. Okay, we can work around that. But if he thinks big picture and thinks outwardly and also thinks, I've had guys that have gone to the league at quarterback. What do I got coming?
Yep.
It makes sense
absolutely
from that standpoint. All right, 38 past the hour. Off and running on a Monday. It's dark outside. We do not see any snow yet. They're talking, 9 a.m., 10 a.m.?
Between 9 and noon it'll start, and closer to noon it'll really pick up.
All right.
Right as we're getting the crossover.
Yeah, so right now the calm before the storm. I do think this is going to happen.
There was a lot of flashing lights out there, a lot of trucks though, so the city is out.
The fact that you're saying it's probably going to happen, unfortunately, I think then that means it probably is. Because you're not exactly fear-mongering.
We didn't hold you accountable though. You said we would not have a white Christmas, and my friend, we did have one.
Oh, I didn't have a white Christmas. That's what I was talking about.
You were talking.
We had a white Christmas here?
I guess so.
Oh, yes, we did.
No. I was driving.
No. You are completely wrong.
Huh?
It was not considered a white Christmas.
Why?
Because it was not. Didn't it snow on Christmas?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. It has to be on the ground for it to be a white Christmas. So you're already off to a bad start today.
Details.
Gonna have to deal with your inaccuracies again today. I see.
So you knew that.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
When you predicted it, you said, "Well, that might."
Do you not know
snow
that I
on
have a
Christmas.
minor in meteorology? A brown Christmas is better than a white Christmas.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, the only thing about a white Christmas is, it's the optics. It's pretty cool. But then you're like, dang.
Until you have to leave your home to go either to the next place or to go.
I'm a realist.
Oh, there was a time when I was young, I got so excited because I get, you'd be out of school, you go sledding and everything. Now it's just the biggest pain in the ass.
And
when it snows,
learning.
It annoys the crap out of me. And I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah. Give me unseasonably warm.
I don't like it.
Well, after this storm comes through, it is going to be frigid. Yeah. We didn't have any. We went through 2023 without any below zero temps.
Which I
will
still
solve that in January.
Sunday might stay below zero all day.
When I saw that what was it for first time in like 80 years? I could have swore last year we had a few sub-zeros. Could have swore we did.
Only in the running man.
Oh, well,
not just plain zero.
You could hold the National Weather Service in Valley accountable.
I do.
Just tweet at them.
I want to ask them and say, can we go back? Now, my problem is I don't remember exactly what days, but I remember there were a few days we came rolling in here, and it was
Tom at the National Weather Service. I felt there was one day where it was really, really cold. I think that was below zero.
Yes.
I don't know what the temp was, but I think it was below zero because I was cold.
I was extremely
cold. I don't think
cold.
that flies in the meteorology world.
I wore
close. It was 36 degrees that day.
I busted out the down coat that I hardly. There's an old Nike down coat that I got at a Nike outlet that I never wear unless it's like almost sub-zero. I know I wore that a few times last year.
So you wear it Friday?
Yeah,
Friday's
probably.
gonna be that kind of
Because it was supposed to be like 8 on Friday.
Yeah.
You should tweet at the meteorologists here in town on
Yeah,
TV.
okay.
Because they take their job very, very seriously, and they should. I mean, they have.
Well, no one's questioning it.
Well, you should question it.
I think I will question
you're Mr.
it.
Meteorology.
No,
guy.
I just want to question it because
Shake it up.
I was bringing that up when I saw that graphic. I thought to myself, no, I'm pretty sure we did have one. Now, does that not include wind chill?
No.
Oh,
it's the air
no, it's the air
temperature.
temp.
That's what I thought.
Stick to whatever you do.
I'm telling you. No, that's what I'm saying, though. I thought,
I don't
okay,
know
well,
what you're
maybe
doing
the
over there.
actual temperature wasn't sub-zero, but the wind chill was, and they don't count
Rusty, Sean,
just telling
Bill, I apologize for my partner. He is.
I feel like there were
trampling your industry.
We had some. I'm telling you, we had some sub-zero.
Too bad we don't have AK on this week. We could get his take on all this. He knows.
He doesn't touch that world. Like there's a reason why they have their own little location and TV stations. You leave them alone.
It's true.
Yes.
It's a cave,
especially on days like this.
All right, 41 past the hour. Your thoughts on the weekend? We'll talk some football, some basketball. We'll talk Golden Globes for people that have no idea who Joe Coy is, who just bombed on national TV last night on live TV, which was uncomfortable because he was hosting the Golden Globes. Maybe you do not watch award shows, like many don't anymore.
I don't.
The number to get in touch with the show, 951-1620. It is the hotline. Brought to you by 42 Degrees, the source by your mom's house. You can always email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, Gary at 1620thezone.com.
Handley at 1620thezone.com.
Or on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620.
At Nick Handley 1620.
Jimmy's here as well. Brett Ciancia is coming up the next hour. It's national championship tonight. Early kick, 6:30 for Michigan and Washington. On 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that we can give our daughters everything they need to grow and learn. But not every child can focus on classes and play dates.
Nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. face hunger. That's 1 in 6. School lunch might be their only meal each day, and it's heartbreaking to imagine any child going to bed hungry. We're dreaming of a perfect day when kids can smile, play, and just be kids without worrying about where their next meal will come from. Feeding America is working to make that perfect day a reality.
Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. That food is given to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about doing things that make an ordinary day extraordinary. Learning to play an instrument, building a sandcastle, hosting tea parties. Hunger should never be an obstacle to growing up.
You can help end childhood hunger in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refunds belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer?
Start for free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Steve tweets at the show, hey, if you have a child in college, when is Nebraska ever going to go back? I'll go back till the
22nd.
22nd.
It's almost spring break.
They can sign up for Peacock for $1.99 for the year. Ooh,
it's a good deal.
Steve said I had my son do it for the Husker Maryland game, so I won't have to wait until October or whenever we played Maryland. Ooh, that if you'd like to donate a college kid so that you can sign up with their credentials. Now, I've done that before. I did that about 10 years ago. I was signing up for something, and it said, are you a college student? Yes, I am.
Yep.
I'm always learning, and I got a deal. Just hoping they would never find out.
I still have my school ID, so I could always bust that out.
Yeah, I remember car deals, like if you were still a
What
student.
happened to mine?
You got some type of discount. Maybe they waive the doc fee or something. I can't
That's
remember.
a good deal for students. Like students and teachers get a lot of deals, which they should. So Peacock will have Nebraska Purdue tomorrow night, and then the Chiefs Dolphins game is on Peacock for the Swifties. I know everybody's trying to figure out when games were going to start and who was going to get the prime time and who's going to. You had to start with the baseline that the Texans are always playing at 3:30 or 2:30 or whatever time zone you're in. To get these Swifties to sign up for Peacock, the NFL knows what they're doing. The NFL is not stupid. But I am a little bit surprised that even there was a player on the Chiefs that was surprised that the game is on Peacock. Did everybody just arrive here?
Blame your teammate. Blame his girlfriend.
So they've already had Black Friday. The Bills-Chargers game was on Peacock. We've known this since the deal was announced that there was going to be an exclusive playoff game. We watch college football. We're in the Big Ten. We're used to this now, that you have to pay and watch something on streaming. Here's where I think this will stop, because the NFL has us. We'll complain for a couple of days, or some people will complain. I'm not going to complain. This is the world we live in. Even if it's it's my team, we'll complain for a couple of days, and then you know what'll happen? Saturday will roll around and we will watch, because that's what we do with the NFL. We watch NFL football,
and they know it.
So but here's where it'll stop. I fully believe that we will never have a Super Bowl on pay-per-view.
Oh, I agree.
No.
Somebody will step in.
No.
And they will say, nope, that's the one thing we can't touch.
Yes. I don't even, you're probably right as far as we could go as far as even conference championship games. I still think that's a stretch. That'll be a tough one to swallow, but eventually. Yeah. Super Bowl will never happen.
Someone will suggest it.
It's very enticing. It's extremely enticing. But there would be somebody that would stop it. Jock Slap on Twitter.
Wow.
Hold on, let me just.
That's right up there with Diego.
Let me just blank sports takes and absolutely atrocious gambling and fantasy sports advice.
All right.
I like this guy. He says the day will come when the Super Bowl will be $119.99 on pay-per-view. That was a popular thing about 7 years ago. Oh, we're going towards pay-per-view. And then streaming became the way to go. There's enough people that are sensible that national holiday will not be put behind a paywall, that it still will be free for everybody.
Yes.
Now, if they throw, when it goes on to ESPN, it's not going to essentially be free, but you get what I'm saying. It won't be, you got to stream it or you got to pay extra you'll have access to it. I just think the Super Bowl will stay that way because the NFL is making up for it in other ways, like $110 million from NBC and Peacock to get an exclusive only playoff game.
Yeah,
they get Saturday night.
The Super Bowl becomes like a big Olympic moment as far as like, being global compared to even, again, the playoffs or even conference championship games. I mean, they're completely different when it comes to the amount of interest that comes with it because it goes so far beyond sports. We all know that. And I don't think that the popularity and what that event, and it's an event. It's a sporting event for us who cover sports, who like sports, but it's an event for people who don't, because regardless if you've ever watched football or not, you know what's going on Super Bowl Sunday and you're planning accordingly. I don't think that that's ever going to find itself behind any type of paywall.
National championship game tonight. Brett Ciancia for Pick Six Previews coming up at the bottom of the next hour. As I look at this game, and I've already said I like Michigan. I like when it's a matchup like this, I like defenses that travel, and Michigan's defense is better. So I like Michigan in this game. I don't think it'll be a plethora of points. I mean, there's some of the props that I really, really like that aren't necessarily like.
I think it's going to be a good game.
See, I think I will go with the under. I think Michigan wins. I think it will go with the under. I hope it's better than last year. If it's not
a game that was over in the second quarter,
it was in bed by 8:45.
If it's not, that means Michigan is blowing out Washington.
I agree. Yeah,
I mean that's how I see it. But my Harbaugh fatigue is about hit the wall. So I'm ready for this game to be over. Let Michigan win the national championship. Let them celebrate, and then let them realize that it's not all roses on the other side of Harbaugh leaving. Is what is Harbaugh going to do? He's going to go to the Chargers. We can get all that out of the way. But looking at the matchup of coaches, and I like Kellen DeBoer. He's a local guy. We'll adopt him from South Dakota.
That dude wins. That's why I'm not guaranteed to pick Michigan.
So here's on Black Monday where Arthur Smith has already been fired for the Falcons. How come people don't talk about Kellen DeBoer to the NFL? If you look at his offensive concepts, Penix Jr. or not, because he hasn't had him his entire career, he has got a great offensive mind, and he is a fantastic builder of a staff. He's also got a great culture that guys say, I want to come back and play because it can help my draft stock.
Yeah.
Kellen DeBoer is a rising star that is on the West Coast in the Pacific Northwest that people are starting to become aware of. And in the new Big Ten, I'm going, damn, Lanning and DeBoer are here. I'm more afraid of them than Lincoln Riley. But how come DeBoer is not mentioned for the NFL?
Maybe it's one more year. Maybe it's exactly what they've been able to do this year that it kind of puts him back into the conversation. I know that those guys get thrown into, Lincoln Riley's name forever is always thrown into, okay, is he eventually going to go to the NFL? I think that there's always something that probably comes from maybe a little bit of their representation that says, yeah, you know what? He's always shown interest of possibly someday if, the right situation presented itself. I don't know if Kalen DeBoer has ever done that, but I also think at some point it doesn't even matter what your people are saying, what you might even be saying as far as your interest outside of college football. At some point, kind of to your point, you're going to look at what type of system you run. You're going to look at what you do with quarterbacks, especially, and people are going to start to just sort of link you to, if he ever wanted to, he might be a good fit for the NFL. I think one more year, and especially regardless of what happens tonight, I think one more year, and he's probably finding himself, whether he likes it or not, in those conversations.
He's got a ton of respect from his peers. You never hear anybody say anything bad about him. He builds his staff. He does it the right way. Nobody is saying, well, if Washington wins, it's going to be either an asterisk or a stain, like it will be said about Michigan.
Yeah.
But DeBoer has great respect from his peers. Like they get that this guy grinded where he started and he worked his way up. And
I get why you wanted him in Lincoln.
He has won everywhere he has gone. Yeah, because he builds programs the right way.
He reminds me of Lance Leipold.
He builds staffs. I mean, look at his staff. It also reiterates the point, if I'm a Washington fan, how friggin' awful was Jimmy Lake? Jimmy Lake took over a Chris Peterson program where it's not like Chris Peterson retired and took the cupboards with him. He left some talent in the cupboards. Jimmy Lake was terrible. And Kellen DeBoer in a short amount of time walks in to Mount Lake and turns Washington football around, where we're talking about next year. I'm more concerned about Oregon and Washington joining this league and the havoc that they will wreak than I am USC. You wouldn't have. Who would have thought you would throw Washington into that? Oregon, you're probably saying that.
Yeah.
But who would have thought you would throw Washington? As long as DeBoer's at Washington, hello, they're going to be in the running to be at the top of the Big Ten.
Well, and I was actually listening to this again with DeBoer. this probably speaks, again, more volume of the type of coach he is and the respect he's getting amongst his peers in college football, regardless of the chatter of, if he would ever be an NFL-type fit too. It was the hypothetical was thrown out because it goes back to the biggest storyline coaching-wise in this national championship game of what you said, Jim Harbaugh, and what his future is. This one was floated out there. It is, but it did come back to Kalen DeBoer about if Michigan or Jim Harbaugh decides to move on from Michigan. Obviously, everyone thinks with in-house, Sharon Moore would be an ideal fit. Kalen DeBoer's name was thrown out there too, of would Michigan go calling to a guy like DeBoer because of not only what you're seeing just evolution-wise with his offense and what they've been able to do and build a staff, but also the fact that they are a physical team. They do play defense. They've got an offensive line. There are a lot of things that, that Michigan
Washington plays defense.
Well, physical, I should say. But on the offensive line too, things that Michigan does covet, would he be on that type of list? And you think about the type of coaches, if they did go outside of Sharon Moore, who they'd be looking for, you'd be looking at some of the best and brightest coaches.
I don't know, man.
You got DeBoer on there.
Had no interest in Nebraska. No interest whatsoever. He's got a great deal there.
Oh, he does.
Loves
totally.
his athletic director.
That's a great place. If anyone's ever been to a game out there.
But I think if you're a Washington fan,
Seattle, their NIL is really, really improving. They got NFL dudes. They're now in the Big Ten. They won't get ignored. They're on a bigger stage.
I'd stay.
DeBoer's a smart man. He has been very, very selective on where he has gone in his career. Not like to, make the jump just so that I can have a Division I job and it completely derails you. He's a smart guy. I mean, I think he's going to be there for a while until the NFL comes calling.
And I think if you're a Washington fan, though, you hear things like that. Again, not that there's any real substance to it, but you hear that being floated out hypothetical, and a guy on lists like that would involve only the very best and brightest coaches in college football. You have to be flattered by that because it's a great saying that if nobody else is interested in your coach, eventually you probably won't be interested in your own coach too. And so if anything, you take that from DeBoer, maybe getting interest from other schools if those jobs open up, as we obviously got the right guy. You don't need that for validation because all you have to do is watch your team, but that also goes back to the point of respect amongst the peers and those institutions as well.
All right, Brett Ciancia joins us at 7:30. We'll get into the whole Harbaugh discussion. It feels like the last dance at Michigan, but be careful. As much as Harbaugh has done, especially in this 3-year window, remember what it was like before Harbaugh got there. This doesn't automatically mean Michigan is going to stay at the top. And maybe Harbaugh is better off staying. We'll get into that discussion with Brett Ciancia. We got an update with Jimmy coming up. Also, we'll get into the Matt Rule weekend, where he picks up a wide receiver, picks up a running back, and picks up a little momentum in the month of January. They're not hanging the banner yet.
No.
We got some competition with Ole Miss for the offseason championship. I'm telling you, it was, for a lot of different reasons, it was a good weekend for Nebraska football. All right. Hour in the books. Snowmageddon is on its way. We'll keep you updated. It's not snowing in our location of Omaha.
Come on, Dome. Do your thing.
Yeah. And also do your thing later today when it does start to snow here, because I don't want to see on my television. Do not hang around 90th and Dodge. If you can avoid 90th and Dodge.
Oh, it'll get closed at some point. Don't worry.
Hey, shout out to the crews that work on the roads. I know they listen to us.
They're
Talked
everywhere.
about that last year.
Yeah, they're everywhere too.
They're ready.
Well,
90th and Dodge.
There's also a mess on. I don't know how much you guys drive on Dodge, but since water mains break in this town all the time. Like Center Street is closed off on one area, like 115th or whatever. There's a water main break on Dodge, so like 80th and Dodge is blocked off. So just adding to even more of an issue. But I'm just telling you, you do not want to be on the Channel 7, Channel 6, or Channel 3 news when they show what's going on at 90th and Dodge. Whenever we have a snowstorm, that place is a friggin' mess.
No lanes, everyone's spinning out.
No, the incline.
Nobody can make it up the hill.
Yeah, the gradual incline it destroys everyone's commute. It's terrible.
Just for your sake, just please avoid that, so I don't have to see you on my television. And go, I wonder if they're listening to 1620.
Plan accordingly.
Update with Jimmy coming up next.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dream Time Saving Traffic Center. Hope you had a great weekend. There's no accidents to report. Heads up if you're on West Dodge, roadways reduced to one lane at 84th due to a water main break, so possible delays throughout the morning. Snow's making its way later on, so be careful of possible slick road conditions and take it slow and steady. And as always, buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
If you have a large amount of gold or precious metals and want the best price with no waiting, Saul's makes it easy and fast. Any amount of gold, silver, or jewelry, no limit, immediate payment. Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
It's the most time-honored tradition to start the weekend, grabbing a cold one from a local Nebraska brewery. Let's be real here. It's cold outside, and you don't want to drink the same boring beer as those Hawkeye fans. Drink Nebraska brewed beer, cider, or seltzers instead. Each week, we're putting the spotlight on a unique Nebraska brewery with One Beer Friday. Share your brew on social media with the hashtag One Beer Friday, and you'll be entered to win a $25 gift card to a local Nebraska brewery. Nebraska is the good life with great beer. Click nebraska.beer to learn more.
1620 The Zone is on location Friday, January 26th at American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge, Nebraska, in support of the Creighton Pinkout Game, a free home away from home for cancer patients and caregivers. You can find details on 1620thezone.com and at cancer.org/pinkout.
Hi, everybody. Kent Pavelka here with why I chose Everlevel Concrete Repair for my driveway. They do it all. They fix cracks, lift sunken slabs, protect the finished product from deterioration, and all at a fraction of the price of replacement. It's not a Band-Aid like other repair methods. Everlevel's products are designed to last, which is why they've been voted Best of Omaha again this year. Better yet, it all comes with a transferable warranty. Protect your concrete before winter. Call Everlevel today for your free inspection. Everlevel. They make your driveway Everlevel. Level up.
I'm Rick Betker from Omaha Car Care. We want to thank all our friends and clients who made 2023 a great year. And we hope you can help us spread joy to others. From now through January, we're hosting a boot drive for the kids of the Q school system. At this time of year, they could really use some warm boots. So if you could bring your new or gently used boots to any of our 4 locations, we'll make sure they get to kids in need. Thanks from Omaha Car Care.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. ramp.com/sports.
At Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands, one youth, one mentor, plus one moment could unlock limitless potential. When you sign up to become a mentor, you're matched up 1-to-1 with a child in the Omaha community. Sign up today at mentoromaha.org.
KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Alexis Markowski scores a team-high 21 points, but it's not enough to prevent Indiana from routing the Nebraska ball women 91-69 yesterday in front of a season-high of 9,059 fans at Pinnacle Bank Arena. The Huskers are now 11-4 overall, 3-1 in Big Ten play. They host Illinois Thursday night at 7. Creighton men's basketball at DePaul tomorrow night at 8, and you said they're leaving today, in fact, because you said John was here.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
ran into
smart
Bishop.
move.
He said they leave at 9 a.m.
Makes sense. Get them out of there. So much for going day of and getting a shoot around and playing. But nevertheless, they play tomorrow night at DePaul at 8 after Saturday's nice 69-60 win over Providence Saturday at the Chi. The Creighton women get 5 players in double figures as they win at DePaul 75-68 Saturday. They're now 11-3 overall, 2-2 in league play. They host Butler Thursday night at 6. Omaha hockey was out in the desert over the weekend. They split their 2 games of the Desert Hockey Classic at Arizona State. They beat UMass Lowell on Friday and then fall to the Sun Devils on Saturday night. Omaha men's basketball loses a tough one on the road at Idaho State 63-62. I saw the pictures. That's a nice little arena y'all played at because I've seen where Idaho State plays normally. So, yeah, I get why they play that there.
Build their fan base north of about 40 miles north of their campus. And Idaho Falls is about a town of 130,000.
No.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really nice arena.
Royals single A affiliate. I don't know if it's still there, but they were there for.
They got the Spud Kings. They're
nice
USHL equivalent hockey team.
Spud Kings.
Great name.
What a name.
Yeah. Markel Sutton at 17 for the Mavs. They come back home to host North Dakota Thursday night. It's all Summit League play from here on out. The Maverick women fall to Montana 81-60 Saturday at Baxter Arena. But that helps a little bit as the Montana football team falls to, hey, congratulations to South Dakota State. They win 23-3. They're a wagon. Hopefully everyone got back nice and safe. I'm sure they had a good old time. It looked like it on the field as they were doing the trophy presentation.
And they gave up 1 touchdown on defense in the FCS playoffs. They've won 29 in a row. But outside of their respective fan bases, did anybody watch it yesterday?
Why did they put that on a Sunday?
I know that was especially in week 17 where you did have, I should say week 18, but the 17th game of the regular season in the NFL. You had games of significance as far as wild card and playoff implications.
Because even though they should have been on Saturday at 11 a.m. leading into the doubleheader of NFL football, NFL pregame shows get higher ratings than the FCS finals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just the reality of it.
That's too bad.
Maybe we'll get to this a little bit later. I worry about the future of FCS football.
You said that last year, I remember. And yeah, I get why.
It's great that they're on ABC, but I think a lot more people would have watched beginning at 11 a.m. Saturday than yesterday going up against the early window of the NFL. Whether some of those games mattered or not, it's still the NFL.
Yes.
And it's king. I mean, we've discussed it, and that goes back to the whole streaming conversation. Speaking of the NFL Black Monday today, congratulations to Arthur Smith, who is the NFL's first coaching firing. That happened late last night, though, by the Falcons. They wasted no time. After 3 seasons without a playoff appearance or winning record, Smith met with Falcons owner Arthur Blank, CEO Rich McKay, last night, hours after their 48-17 loss to the Saints, sealed a 7-10 season. The Falcons had an outside chance to win the South with a victory, but were outscored 31-0 after halftime. He finishes 21-30 in his 3 seasons with the team. And speaking of, Saints players went rogue with a play call in the final minutes of that game, as Saints coach Dennis Allen and offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael intended to kneel, run out the final 113 after the Honey Badger ran an interception back to the Falcons 1. Backup quarterback Jameis Winston of crab leg fame was sent in to take a final snap in victory formation, but the team instead ran Jamal Williams up the middle for a 1-yard score. And afterwards, Arthur Smith threw a tantrum and angrily approached Allen after the game, yelled at him. Allen appeared to try to calm Smith down, but Smith said, "I'm about to be fired." And Allen reminded him, "Yeah, but look at that buyout you're going to get." And Smith said, "Yeah, good point. All right, I'll call you later."
Jameis Winston after the game
then said the F word.
Was Jameis Winston. Had no regrets whatsoever. Had a big smile on his face while talking about the play. Didn't do it in a disrespectful manner, according to him. Again,
no, it's like Rudy. They went and ran up the score so they could get Rudy.
They wanted to give Jamal Williams, had not scored all year, for a guy that they felt like they were doing something right for their teammate on a game that obviously had no bearing on anybody's future whatsoever at that moment. And it was weird. I know Dennis Allen was pissed because he's the one who has to do the explaining after the game. That lasts for, I don't know, a matter of seconds.
You know what that tells me? Dennis Allen, ain't working with Dennis Allen with the Saints.
Yeah, that's kind of what I took from it too.
Yeah, when you have players that decide, hey, you know what, coach, whatever the coach is calling, it's fine. We're gonna take matters in our own hands.
Jameis wouldn't have done that to Sean
There's
Payton.
something there. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Yesterday, listening to Jameis Winston talk about this, I was reminded about Jameis Winston.
He inserted himself in the conversation. He's funny.
Yes.
He's funny. He amazes people he's still in the NFL.
Parcells would have cut him on the spot.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy. Clint texts in. I always thought the Big Ten title game should be on the Big Ten channel. Monday Night Football should be on the NFL channel. Okay.
But Saturday night's playoff game should still be on Peacock because money.
I think that's what he was responding to. We have none of us have ever been to the college football national championship game.
No.
So it's tonight in Houston, which I think is kind of ironic. Don't you guys think?
In Houston?
Yes. That Michigan is going to play for the title in the sign-stealing capital of the U.S.
Okay, now I know where to go.
But is there any buildup for this game? Like, if you go to the national championship game, do they have like a fan fest? Do they have like a big?
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
So they have a big buildup for this.
But in Houston, everyone's just kind of meh.
Well, I saw the ticket prices are falling. So if you like live in the Houston area and you want to go watch the national championship game tonight in a really nice stadium, you could get a good ticket to go watch this game.
Yeah, isn't that the way to go with the national championship games? If I remember them in years past, even like the last couple of years, where you see the initial price, the week out leading up to it, and you're like, oh my God, hell no. But then like 2 days, even the day of, those things plummet. So anybody who's like buying those early, yeah, you just need to wait. You're going to save yourself some coin there, because I thought I was seeing like the average ticket price was close to like $1,100 like a week ago. Now it's like well below that.
It's expensive to be a college football fan. Look at, if you are a fan of a team that's going to make a run in the playoffs, and they play that opening weekend, you're going to spend a lot of money. Man, it's expensive to be a college football fan, to follow your team across the country with that amount of playoffs, and especially where the national championship game is 1 week after the semifinals. So if you're a Michigan fan, yeah, man, I want to go to the Rose Bowl. That's pretty cool. Oh, I also want to go to Houston. Is there only going to be Richie Riches that are going to be in the attendance tonight?
Yeah, because that's a good point, because you usually did have it was like a 2 week, almost like a week and a half, 2 weeks in between the college football semifinal and the national championship game. As always, I'm like, we forgot. Oh yeah, they still do have one game to play. Now I do like that it's on top of it, but to your point, yeah, I mean, if you, especially with the expanded playoff, I always feel bad for people who come here for the College World Series and are here from day one, and then their team gets all the way to the championship series and they're staying in the hotels and they're paying the ticket price. I mean,
we have a nice zoo.
That's
though.
peanuts compared to what you would be doing if you're a college football fan and you're playing in that first game, you make it all the way to the national championship, and you're sticking with them the entire way.
You need the Counter Stallions deal where you get a front row ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Asterisk or stain? Michigan wins tonight. Asterisk or stain? Remember, they're 3-0 since Counter Stallions went. Just I got to be fair.
I'll say stain.
Asterisk or stain? There's not a lot of people that'll be saying, man, if Washington wins, a feel-good story because of DeBoer and the rebound of Michael Penix Jr. If Michigan wins, nobody is going to say this is the feel-good story of college football.
Yeah,
they're going to eat it up too.
Yeah,
lean into it.
They will. They who brought this up? Where they said
will people be angry if Michigan wins tonight? Will people be angry that Michigan has won a national championship?
Just in Columbus.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if
it's.
I don't think so. I don't think people, because I feel like we would be sensing that right now. I don't sense it as much as we did when we first kind of learned of the story itself. Like, I just don't sense that people are just irate. Like, they better not win tonight.
You don't sense it? Did your
really
opinion
don't.
change after they beat Alabama? Okay, because they kind of changed the perception.
I think a little bit.
They went toe-to-toe and they beat Alabama.
I remember, outside of SEC country, or especially outside of Alabama, when you take down big bad Alabama, people enjoy that. People appreciate that. So I think people were probably conflicted a little bit, especially if they didn't like Michigan, but then all of a sudden you see them bully around the SEC bully. There's probably some newfound respect. I don't sense a lot of outrage that Michigan's even in this game right now. So I don't think it's going to be that. Nope. Okay. This is disgusting. This is sick. I can't believe that they're standing up there on the podium hoisting a national championship trophy. I don't sense that.
Which I think they will. Have you made a prediction yet?
I kind of did on Friday, but yeah, I think.
What is a kind of prediction?
I was saying
maybe Michigan, maybe Washington.
Yeah, no, I said Michigan, but I said if this game goes the way I think it will, and that would be Michigan. We were talking about something else when we had Bill Bender on, because he was talking about which is a great way to describe Michigan's attitude right now, as Bill Bender put it. They're winning in people's face. Yeah, and we kind of got talking about that a little bit.
JJ McCarthy talked about the sign stealing, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, they're actually being a little bit more candid about it. But yeah, I took Michigan. I didn't give a score, but yes, I think Michigan wins.
Here is Jesse, who'd like to chime in about everybody's favorite Wolverine. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning, guys. Oh, first of all, I'm Jock Slap, by the way. I changed. Yeah.
What a
No, 'cause
handle!
Hey,
fantastic handle.
I didn't
good.
I
Hey,
didn't want
good
to
on
get
you.
fired. I would say things on Twitter at work, and you can't mix it up. Anyway, no, I think the Michigan thing fits better with people because it came out so early in the season that it was happening or had happened, and then people tuned in and watched their games and went, "Oh, well, these guys are actually pretty good." Like
That's a
you
good point.
can't watch them play and just be like, "Oh, they're only winning because they're cheating."
Yeah.
No, they're good. They're pretty good.
I think that's a fair point.
Yeah, no.
Whoa. Is he all right?
Sounded like Sip.
Well, there was some noise in the background before we lost connection there.
What happened there?
It's not snowing yet.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah, Michigan's a good football team. Okay. McCarthy, Corum, Jenkins, Roman Wilson. I mean, we could go on and on. Like, of the top 10 players on the field tonight, Michigan probably has 6 and Washington has 4. It's the asterisk or the stain, however you feel about it. But your opinion, I think people's opinion changed when they saw how they beat Alabama. Now, their opinion on one aspect of how they beat Alabama, if they're awful in special teams again tonight.
Yeah.
But J.J. McCarthy's going to have to make some passes. I like the quarterback matchup. I think we'll get overwhelmed and get into the discussion about, oh, my God, Penix is rising up the draft boards. I don't know if that's the case because I keep going back to you're either a game manager or a difference maker in the NFL. And where does Penix fall? Now, those corner fades, I can't wait to watch tonight him throw the corner fade and see how Michigan defends it because Michigan's pretty good at that. So, does Penix, if he gets moved off his spot, which if he does, it's not necessarily great, how does he adjust? I mean, he can make himself a lot of money tonight how he performs against that Michigan defense. But I think both of these quarterbacks, because this is what we do, we're in the moment, or that's the standalone game. We're like, oh my gosh, these are top 10 picks. They should be with Williams and May and Daniels and whoever else. I don't know. Michael Penix Jr., when it comes to the NFL, top 100 pick, yes, but I don't know that he's a difference maker in the NFL. Now, I don't think J.J. McCarthy is a difference maker either, but he'll end up on a nice roster and he'll make a good living as a backup.
Yeah, I think J.J. McCarthy, just him alone, he reminds me of a guy that the way that he's played, if you just look at how he is as a quarterback for Michigan and he controls the game, he's not a game manager because I do think that there's more elements to his game between his athleticism, and he does throw the ball decently when asked to. It's just not on display as much as like a Michael Penix as far as having to throw the deep ball and really being able to uncork everything because they run the ball so effectively as well. There's something about just his presence in the line of scrimmage that it wouldn't shock me that he gets drafted. Obviously, he's not seen as a franchise quarterback, but he gets an opportunity at some point in his career and does fine. Now, it'd be in the right system too. It wouldn't be a guy that because he's on the field, he's a starting quarterback, they're winning because of him. But I could see teams winning with him because, again, I think that there is a presence with J.J. McCarthy, and you've seen it from the time that he was kind of the other quarterback with Cade McNamara, and then when it became his show, and you saw a lot more of his ability other than just coming in and running the football, that, okay, there's more to this guy. And this is where I think Jim Harbaugh has done a really good job of also bringing a young kid along and turning him into a quarterback that I think can play at the next level. For Michael Penix, that's the one thing, and I even found myself getting caught up a few times this season, especially in the semifinal game, rooting for a team that is possibly looking for a quarterback, and you watch the ability to make every throw and when to put some touch on it, when to just uncork one, being able to have that variation, the arm talent is there. You always have to consider too, the type of defense, the type of secondary, and just everything that he's going to be up against at the next level. Would that translate? And you do look at those draft boards.
Translate. He's throwing to NFL wide receivers now, so he'd be throwing to NFL wide
Absolutely.
receivers. I mean, that's something where you could watch his film and go, okay,
yeah,
I don't have to worry about what kind of pass catchers there are.
But I'm also looking at, okay, the types of secondary that you're going to see week in and week out in the NFL, and the type of defensive coordinators that are, they're getting paid a lot of money to shut you down, and it's a copycat league in the NFL too. If you're having success, they will make it their business to figure you out. is Michael Penix's game one that would get exposed a little bit, especially when you're under a lot more pressure and people are at your feet a lot more?
He does a good job of processing information. Now, his vertical passing game, I know there's some comps out there. I saw one last night of Warren Moon. I think of Jalen Hurts in terms of how they throw the football and what they do really, really well. He won't be a top 10 guy. Somebody will take him and eventually he'll break through in the NFL. I just don't think it'll be a day one type of guy. Now back to McCarthy. McCarthy's going to have to hit some passes tonight. Going to have to hit, Roman Wilson could be his best friend, but they haven't necessarily been tested in the passing game. It's not like Michigan offensively has had to stress and score a ton of points. I still think I like the under in this game, which is sitting at 56 or 55.5. One of those on FanDuel. But McCarthy at some point will have to hit a couple of big passes like he did against Alabama when he hit Roman Wilson. And they haven't been asked to do that. But McCarthy's not a guy that they asked to throw the ball 40 times a game. I think Penix probably will have to throw the ball 35 to 40 times. And
we'll have to outscore.
I just don't like that against this defense. And especially a Jesse Minter defense that's got a week to look at what he was able to do against the likes of the Oregons and then Texas.
Yeah, and what Jesse Minter and that Michigan defense did against Alabama, for a team that doesn't blitz a lot and they still get home quite a bit, they were disguising at times where usually for Michigan, they're probably going to get you on the edge. Like just you saw a lot of, which I thought was great against Jalen Milroe, because you didn't allow him to make that quick decision and be able to kind of peel outside and kind of move in the pocket outside. And I just thought the way Michigan kind of decided to blitz when they did, I don't know what their success rate as far as their win rate getting home, but it had to be like over 70%.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Michigan's defense is legit. I mean, they have the one thing about both of these teams while they've gotten here, and you'll hear this because they're not like top recruiters. Well, if you have good coaches and you have good developers and you start inside and work your way out,
exactly,
you got a chance to keep your head above water, more than keep your head above water in college football. And they both have really, really good offensive lines. I mean, Washington's offensive line is extremely talented. They won the Joe Moore Award this year. But in this case tonight, they may be tasked with protecting more than being able to run the football and open up holes. But if you have a good head coach who has got a plan, I mean, I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about where it gives you hope if you're a Nebraska fan and what Rule's doing. If you have a head coach that is a builder, okay, who has a plan, can sell the plan, can then find people to work the plan, and then explain the plan to those, and then they explain it to the players, and then you put it all together, I don't care if you're 10th in the country in recruiting. If you can do a plan and stick to it and start inside and work out the way you build your roster, man, you have a chance every week in college football. Now, there are some incredibly gifted players that are on both sides, but there's also some players that have been developed, and it's not just the 3-star or the 2-star that's being developed. I was talking about, look at the Georgias and the Alabamas. They take the 4-star and the 5-star and they make them better. So there's a top end and a bottom end of developing, and it doesn't matter what star you are. Every coach doesn't at practice go, that was that 4-star guy. Oh, that's that 2-star guy. Let's give more reps to the 4-star guy. They look them all the same, and it's their whole goal is to develop them. So I like this from that matchup. I like it because that can show it can be done in college football if you have a plan and you stick with it. And it's not just a 1-year thing, because Michigan's in about a 3-year deal here where Michigan's lost 1 game in the last 2 years. And you might even say that TCU game was a fluke because they did it to themselves or Harbaugh did it to himself.
I'm glad you brought up the developing of the higher stars too, because I feel like that's the thing that gets more documented is when you get either a 2 or a 3 or even the walk-on that gets developed into a guy that is starting, a guy that actually, at the end of his career has a chance to play at the next level. What it makes those teams, and you think about the teams you just mentioned there too, it's the coaching staffs that can develop the 4 and 5, that those guys from the time that they get on campus and get through the system, whether they're playing for 3 or 4 years, however long, that they leave and they are far better. Like those are the dangerous teams, because I feel like people assume that, well, those guys are going to be fine. You need to put a lot of your attention into those, those more underdeveloped ones or more inexperienced players. But those programs that are developing the 4 and 5s, and Michigan's done that. Like you've seen a lot of defensive linemen, like a guy that I think of as, Mason Graham, like that guy's a stud. Okay. And when you develop those guys to that level, like to me, those are the teams that if you get enough of those in the expanded playoff, those are the types of teams that are going to make that more worthwhile, where you actually do have more than maybe 2 or 3 teams that are legitimate national championship contenders. That's why it's so rare. And that's why four teams in all reality, though, is probably all you need when it comes to legitimate national championship contenders, because there's so many coaches that just don't do it that well.
There's another part of this discussion, and Washington is a great example. Michigan is too. Is the most important position in any sport quarterback. If you compare the right head coach with the right quarterback and the right coach/OC, man, you're cooking with peanut oil. And both of these teams playing tonight are the prime example of having the right coach for the right quarterback that is paired with the guy that he spends the most time with. Yeah. It doesn't matter what level, high school, college, NFL. These two teams tonight are that, especially Washington. DeBoer and Penix are a great combination. And Harbaugh and McCarthy have turned into a great combination. Yes. When JJ first got going, there was another guy that's now at Iowa that they split time with, and they finally said, no, we're making the right decision here. All right, Brett Ciancia, Big Six Preview, is going to stop by next. His thoughts on what's to come tonight, and then what's to come afterwards, because we're not even waiting anymore for the way too early top 25s in college football.
I just saw McMurphy's.
Hey, Nebraska's not going to face a potentially ranked team until the end of October. So that means Nebraska. Colorado is not preseason ranked. Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana. Not till Ohio
Which is
State.
Predictable.
But remember, next year we have the 12-team playoff. Then because I want to be fair here, that if you look at the way too early preseason top 25s, of the last 5 games, 4 of the 5 will be nationally ranked.
Which, again, looking at that schedule, that was to be expected.
Don't sleep on Iowa. Iowa got another guy returning on defense. If Iowa can find, if they can chew gum and walk at the same time on offense,
it could be decent.
Hey, their defense can be really, really good. Their defense will be one of the better ones in college football next year. All right, Brett C. joins us next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. All right, the playoffs are here, and as good as the regular season was, and it was really, really good, the NFL Supercar Wildcard Weekend is even better. 6 games, 3 days. Don't overthink it. These teams, it's win or go home. And you always have a spot in the playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W.
That's right. And new customers right now getting started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just go to FanDuel.com. Use the promo code ZONE. It all gets underway on Saturday. You got Browns, Texans with Cleveland laying 2.5. And the Chiefs are a home favorite for the Saturday night game at 3.5 over the Dolphins. However you want to do it, just, again, use the promo code ZONE. That's FanDuel.com/ZONE. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. First online real money wager only, $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Have dynamic divisions. You can literally do that by saying, all right, well, we're going to match up the teams that we have scheduled against each other, and they're in one division, and the other group is in the other side. Hell, you could change them every year if you wanted to, but at least you have structure of this team's going to have the best record on this side, and your tiebreakers are going to work.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from a Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Monday. Expect snow to pick up in the metro mainly after 9 a.m., then continue through the rest of the day. Heavy at times through the p.m. hours. Temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Snow continues overnight, lingering into Tuesday morning as winds ramp up. Storm totals around the metro between 5 and 9 inches. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Visit KuglerVision.com today and check out their special New Year's savings. It's KuglerVision.com.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dream Time Saving Traffic Center, it's a quiet morning in Omaha, no accidents to report. Heads up if you're on westbound Dodge. Roadways reduced to one lane at 84th due to a water main break. Snow's approaching the metro area, so take it slow and steady. Be careful of possible slick road conditions as you make your morning commute. And as always, buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
The electrical market requires your company to adjust to an ever-changing field. IBEW Local 22 gives you flexibility with access to journeymen, apprentices, and proven training programs. Call Bob at IBEW Local 22 for details at 402-980-7596.
Start your engines.
Joe's Indoor Karting in Council Bluffs is off the charts crazy. Joe's Karting is fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing action at over 40 miles per hour. The only speed restriction on these karts is how good you are. Joe's Karting is located just a couple of blocks north of Bass Pro Shop and directly east of AMC Theater in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Go watch a movie. Come race at Joe's. Planning a bachelor party, graduation party, or just a night out with friends? Go to Joe's. Remember, Joe's Karting is your place to race.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever is on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill is your home for the big game. Whether it's the NFL or a rivalry on the hardwood, you will find all the action on Oscar's top-of-the-line audio-video system. With 40 TVs and massive dual projectors, the game has never looked better. Pair that with their award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has everything you need. 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, national championship game tonight in Houston, 6:30, Michigan and Washington. We will celebrate with the national champion in July in Indianapolis at the Big Ten Media Days. Which Big Ten team will it be? We welcome in our good friend from Pick Six Previews on the morning of the national championship game, Brett Ciancia. Good morning, my friend. How are you on this fine Monday? And also, Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you too, Gary. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for moving me over to Championship Monday. It's a special day. Good way to close out the end of an era, the 14 playoffs, the historic conferences with two new teams. I mean, Washington and Michigan both in their first national title since, 97 for Michigan, 91 for Washington, actually 91 Rose Bowl rematch. So I'm excited to crown a new champion, and it's going to be a heck of a game tonight.
All right, I'm not going to let you go that much further because we will get to the game, but you are a Philadelphia guy, diehard Eagle fan. If you were calling into WIP this morning as a diehard Eagle fan, what would your phone call sound like?
Oh, my gosh. I don't know where to begin. I mean, this team is completely different than it was a month ago. Yeah, it's a total meltdown out here, Gary. You hear the fan base. The WIP is a terrible radio spot right now. Angry fans. They've been angry for a month, too. It's just mounting now. You got fans saying just forfeit the playoff spot. They don't deserve to be there. Fire the staff, cut everybody. So it's just it's a dark place for Philadelphia fans. Because you were so close in multiple sports and couldn't get it done. The Super Bowl loss, the World Series loss for the Phillies. So you're just starting to come back to reality now, how hard it is to win a title.
Okay, so Gary asked this question earlier, as we are also on Black Monday with NFL coaches' jobs on the line. We saw Ron Rivera officially let go here just moments ago too. Nick Sirianni, if they don't make it out of the playoffs, Is there a world that he doesn't come back as the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, or does this just really ramp up the clock the following year on him?
I think it puts the hot seat on. I think that he deserves a chance to get a new shot with the coordinators. I think that he hit his coordinators in 2022, made the Super Bowl. That should buy you another round. This year he whiffed on some coordinator hires. So I think that Super Bowl run itself has bought him time to try it one more time. I would give him one more shot, see if he can build a staff, get more team continuity, fix the locker room. But if he doesn't get it done next season, then yeah, that'd be time to move on.
Hey, there was
but you got half the fan base saying fire him, so I don't know.
Let's shift to a guy who nobody's saying fire, they're saying hire, 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 and Jim Harbaugh. The COVID year was not good to Michigan. There was a lot of stuff going on off the field. On the field, Harbaugh didn't look good in a mask with his headset on. They didn't play a lot of games. They were only 2-4. It just didn't seem right. And you thought, okay, they'll be fine once we get through this. Well, they actually have been. What do you think has gone into like this 3-year build to get to this moment where Michigan could hoist a national championship trophy for the first time in 26 years?
Yeah, so if you go back to that 2020 season, that was 2019 made it 15 or 16 straight losses to Ohio State. So they had a real Ohio State problem, and that carries a ton of weight, obviously, to the Michigan fan base. So it starts there. They had an Ohio State problem, and after the 2020 season, Jim Harbaugh really just changed the whole culture of the program. He was originally trying to go what they called speed and space with Josh Gaddis and basically just be an Ohio State light, and that wasn't working with their personnel. They couldn't just be Ohio State. So Harbaugh threw that out and went back to what worked. He doubled down on his old Stanford recipe of ball control, big offensive lines, power, smash mouth football. They put a drill at the end of their practice every day called Beat Ohio, and you saw that come true. It was a total shift in the program mentality, and it's carried since. I mean, back-to-back Joe Moore Award wins for their offensive line, top offensive line in the country in 21 and 22, and 3 straight playoff bids. They finally got through now to the national title. So it's been building, but it really took place, that culture shift that he did, going from speed and space to the old Stanford model.
How much of J.J. McCarthy and just the relationship with Jim Harbaugh and J.J. McCarthy compared to, I mean, I'd even throw guys like a Shea Patterson and some quarterbacks that Jim Harbaugh had early in his tenure at Michigan where there was some talent there and it just didn't work. What is it maybe about J.J. McCarthy and Harbaugh's relationship where it really has clicked to the level that it has?
Yeah, it seems like a special bond. He put him into the roster and into some packages early on as a freshman. Went through some ups and downs, but got a ton of game experience. I think that paid dividends. But their bond has gotten close from what I can tell from afar, especially through the suspensions of Coach Harbaugh. Seems like it has hit JJ a different way and has motivated him stronger. So, yeah, I mean, it's really hit the whole roster, and they've had a chip on their shoulder all season, despite coming in as preseason favorites to the Big Ten and a lock for the playoff. But they've been able to motivate around this whole suspension and scandal, and it's made them more. It's made them tighter, from what I can tell.
I mean, Washington's on a heck of a run, and they played kind of as an underdog, and they've leaned into that. Where do you think, as you have looked at this matchup and talked about it nationally, where do you think Washington could make their hay tonight? Where do you think Washington has an advantage that they can lean into that Michigan can't match?
Yeah, well, I think Michigan's defense has been strong all season. They have the stats to back it up. But I think when you look at who they played against, which offense they played against, tonight it'll be against the best quarterback they faced, the best receiver trio that they faced, and the best offensive line they faced. Now, Washington took the Joe Moore Award from Michigan. It was 2 straight. Washington won it this year. So it's going to be the best offense they go against all season. That'll be a test right in itself. I think where Washington will have a difference is their explosive plays. They're going to hit on way more explosive plays than Michigan will. And in title games, that could be the difference. Land a couple of haymakers and flip the scoreboard. I know that we've been in an era the last 2 years at Georgia where defense has carried the team, but go before that, the Bama team with Mac Jones, LSU, Joe Burrow, and then the Trevor Lawrence teams, Jalen Hurts of Bama. Big plays and offenses tend to win these things too. So I think Washington's explosive plays are going to be the difference.
Brett, going back to the semifinals for both of these teams, we talked a lot about Michigan being able to kind of bully around Alabama, especially with what they did on the defensive side. But what Washington did in their game against Texas, did their defensive performance maybe not get enough credit in that one? It just what stood out to you more between the two semifinals? Who came away looking more impressive for what they were able to do?
Yeah, I'd say Washington looked more impressive. A couple of things. I think with Washington, the score was a little misleading. I think they could have pulled away more. They muffed that punt in a key spot where they could have gotten up by multiple scores. But yeah, with Washington's defense, strong performance against a great Texas offense. Talking about playmakers, Texas has a great trio themselves. I mean, Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, and Tavian Sanders, great running backs. Quinn Ewers has a great future. So what they did there was impressive. I think with Washington, they might give up some yards. They might give up a lot of yardage, but they really are clutch at key moments, their defense. Turnovers, 3 and outs when they really need it. So very timely defense, I'd say. And with the thing that impressed me most, though, out of all the games was Washington's offense. You see it with the explosive plays like I just hit on, but they're also able to put together these long ball control drives. Ryan Grubb, the play caller at Washington, really a genius there. They led the country in 10-plus play drives last season. Did it again this year. It's just genius play calling. So I'm impressed by their staff all around.
This is a kind of a twofold question. As Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews joins us. What does a Washington National Championship mean to college football? What does a Michigan National Championship mean to college football?
Well, I think for Washington, it'd be great to have a West Coast presence back on the national stage, hoisting a trophy. It's been a long time. Oregon wasn't able to do it all those great years. Got to go back to the USC dynasty around 2003, 2004 for the last West Coast national champion. So that'd be huge. It's really a shame it didn't come 5 years prior, because maybe a Washington national title, Lincoln Riley at USC, and Deion Sanders at Colorado maybe could have flipped the script on the Pac-12 surviving. But that is a long lost story now. I think it'd still be impressive to have a West Coast champ. For Michigan, you get back a blue blood program that had been dormant for a while. I mean, the last time they hoisted the title was 97. That was a share with Nebraska, obviously. But it's been a while since they've been back. They had a couple nice seasons. 2006, they were close. And then the 2 playoff seasons these past 2 years. But to get a blue blood back on the national championship stage, I think would be special for the sport, the winningest of all time. Would be a little controversial too, though, to see Harbaugh hoisting it. Given the suspensions, the scandals, the rumors, all that stuff. So that would be an interesting dynamic to see Michigan crowned as champs after all that. So a lot of storylines, and I think with a forward-looking view of it, it's an all Big Ten title. Who would have thought?
Do you sense, even as we get closer to kickoff tonight, do you sense that there are a lot of people outside of the Michigan fan base that are looking at even their presence in the national championship as, kind of a disservice to the game of college football? Or does it feel like, it's been subdued, like that maybe there's not as much animosity around Michigan being there for whatever reason? Maybe it's just because people realize they're a good football team. I don't know. What are you sensing with just their presence there?
I don't know. I think that they try to claim the moniker of America's team, and they have the chip on their shoulder. I don't really buy it. I think that a lot of fans are turned off by what they did. I think at first, keep an open mind. Maybe it was widespread, but from what I could tell, it's pretty rare the extent they. Washington, a guy that maybe should have won the Heisman. I know he had my vote. I was proud to vote for Michael Penix, and just the fact he's done it so much, he's proven me right. So yeah, I think the America's team feel would be Washington. I think people were turned off by what happened with Michigan.
Okay, so I voted Daniels 1, Penix 2. So you had Penix 1 okay. So we're in the same boat here. But what do you say? Because you're seeing this now. That Penix played well against Texas, and that's probably the most people that have watched him all season long. And I say, come on, man, he's been like that all season long. What do you say when someone asks you? Well, it just shows you that we should vote for the Heisman after the bowl season.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be open to it, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. It's tough because you could look at so many what-if cases the last 10 years. Maybe the one that sticks out the most, Lamar Jackson versus Deshaun Watson. That actually applies to this scenario where Lamar Jackson, a.k.a. Jaden Daniels, they had incredible stat seasons. They were electric. They had the highlight reel, but their teams didn't make it too far, and in key moments they lost. Then you have on the flip side a team leading an undefeated season with the Deshaun Watson case, or here the Michael Penix, where they have incredible stats also, but they're clutch in key moments. They're winning these big games. They're undefeated. They're in the championship. But I don't know. I mean, look at Vince Young that year. It's really a tough question when to cut it. I don't know why it's arbitrarily picked at the end of conference titles. Why not go end of regular season or end of bowls or end of playoff? I don't know. So I'd be open to all scenarios, but yeah, that's an interesting topic. A lot of what ifs there.
Okay, so Washington now coming to the Big Ten. We have had this discussion, Gary and I have, about teams that, out of the divisions who are going to be sort of given staying power and are going to be built for a new Big Ten, a wide open Big Ten. When you think of what Washington has accomplished and what they've built with Kalen DeBoer and now going to the Big Ten, is that just a machine that keeps on rolling, or do you think that there's going to be some transitional hiccups as we sometimes see with teams going into a different conference of this Washington team, just based on what you've seen so far?
Yeah, well, when you look across the landscape, whenever these teams switch conferences, there definitely are growing pains. I mean, you're taking on all these new opponents. It's new styles of play. It's new recruiting turf. But I think there will be some growing pains for all the programs coming in. What impresses me with Kalen DeBoer is the way that he's able to identify the quarterback spot. He nailed Penix. That was perfect. But really to build a staff and build a coordinator and position coach staff. And the thing is, he was able to defend Ryan Grubb from Alabama and Texas A&M, who offered a lot more money. He was able to retain his staff, bring everyone back. I'm interested to see teams like Washington, teams like Oregon, with more TV money coming in. It's going to be pouring in from the Big Ten. It's going to be night and day compared to what they were receiving from the Pac-12. So gives them even more firepower to build a staff and recruit and all that. So I think that the sky's the limit for teams like Washington, Oregon. USC's always had the sky-high potential. They just haven't reached it recently. And we'll see if UCLA is serious about football and starts to invest more. But the Washington and Oregon pair, I think, will do fine and give them a couple of years of transition.
Hey, before we'll lead you into what you think is going to happen tonight, I have to get your thoughts on the narrative and discussion around Ryan Day, because there's a Larry Coker mention. I even saw a Mike Tomlin mention over the weekend, guy that's successful but can't get it done. You know what the expectations are at Ohio State. I also look at, man, they're not standing pat. They had Will Howard. They had Judkins from Ole Miss on campus yesterday. They're trying to fix some holes via the portal. What's your read on the narrative around Ryan Day when he goes into year 6?
Yeah, well, I think it's crazy high expectations, first off. I mean, a couple of years ago, they won the Rose Bowl. That was a failure. They were 12-1. That was a failure season to Ohio State fans. I think that the expectation's so high. He's built his own expectations so high, given that undefeated 2019 team. I don't think you can fire a guy like that. I think give him a couple more chances to build a staff. I think that he aced his coordinator hire on defense with Jim Knowles. I mean, that was a great job. He's turned one of the worst defenses into one of the top defenses this year. So he showed he can do that. Let's see how he can work with the portal. All right, like you mentioned, a couple big names coming in, signing. The recruiting's always been there, so you got that. Maybe a little bit of a Michigan problem recently, and I know that carries a legacy in that state, but it's crazy to think that he gets heat. That resume anywhere else would be an all-time great at that school. And the Larry Coker thing, I think that if he peaked right after that first run, I think Larry Coker, he had a good 2000 and a good 2001 and a 2002. From there, it tanked. I think Ohio State has showed more staying power under Ryan Day than that. I mean, they're in the playoff discussion every year. It's been longer than Coker. So I think you got to defend Day a little bit, maybe fix that offensive lineup, but it's closer to a dynasty than we give him credit for.
Brett, who's crowned the national champion tonight, in your opinion?
I think Washington's going to continue this dream season streak. I mean, they've picked against them. Everyone picks against them every week. They go out, they prove everybody wrong. It's off the play of Michael Penix, his receivers, his offensive line, his play caller, Ryan Grubb, and a timely defense. So I think we'll make enough big plays when needed. Michigan's offense has not wowed me. I think that their run game's okay, and McCarthy can make a couple plays here and there, but in a high-scoring game, which I think it might turn into, I don't see Michigan keeping pace. So I think the Pac-12 is going to crown a champ in their final moment. I think it'd be fitting. It's a proud conference. They deserve to go out on a top note like that. Coach of the year, all the accolades for Coach DeBoer and his staff. And I think it's going to be Washington. So in terms of score, I'll go something like a 31-24, something like that. I hope we get a great game. I love when national titles are exciting. And we'll see. Congrats both teams, but I think Washington takes it home.
Hey, I appreciate it, my man. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah, great season, guys. Love to be on the show. My favorite host, favorite audience. The listeners are great. I get to hear from them on Twitter, and hey, enjoy the offseason. We'll catch up in spring.
Yes, we will. Checks in the mail, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
That's Brett Seanson from Pick Six Previews.
Makes
Okay,
me
so
emotional.
I've heard this phrase a lot. I like defenses, and in the SP Plus era, Washington right now is 44 in that category. Nobody has been that high and won a national championship since, Jimmy, you remember the 1950 Oklahoma team.
Oh, absolutely. Bud Wilkinson.
So,
they were a wagon.
but I'm starting to hear this more about defense.
Big Six champions.
I'm starting now to go into the dive of the Chiefs Dolphins, and the Chiefs' issues on offense all of a sudden are going to disappear. I do have Harrison Butker. I don't think people bring that up enough about the Chiefs, about the weapon that is Harrison Butker.
That's true.
But defensively, they're really, really good. And they've already slowed down Miami before. That game was in Germany. We like elite defense, or at least I do, but I think we all agree we like elite defense. Defense that can stop the run, can stop the pass, get off the field. They don't have extended 10-play drives.
This is nice.
I'm starting to hear the phrase timely stops. Brett just used it about Washington.
Bend but don't break.
I don't know that they can stand up against the run. I think the why I like Michigan is not only their defense, but I think Michigan wears down Washington in the second half. I watched South Dakota State yesterday. South Dakota State wore down Montana. I mean, and then they unleashed an incredible defensive line. But I don't know, is timely stops now how we judge if a defense is good or not?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of.
I'm not knocking Brett. I've heard that more often, explaining a defense that isn't great but is okay while they get timely stops. Is that what we want?
Yeah, but the timely stops are like sort of the bend but don't break type defense, which I think is a little bit more in vogue nowadays than what we used to see of a defense that smothers. I think it's used a lot more because of where offense is in the game of football too. And I think the Texas game was a good example of kind of what Brett was talking about, with Washington being able to make timely stops. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I mean, Texas put up some numbers. But again, you were able to, you're forcing a turnover here and there. You're able to, capitalize on maybe being able to flip the field. The only thing tonight that I think is in more of the advantage for Michigan when it comes to just that element is I think Michigan, they're built at least to really limit Washington's possessions. And so I feel like that puts so much pressure on every time Washington is out that they got to find themselves in the end zone or at least getting points on every drive. This just feels like one of those games that Michigan offensively is going to have that ability to be able to lengthen their possessions, limit Washington's possessions. And then so at that point, even if you are, say, holding Michigan to a field goal, you're taking so much time off. You're putting that much more pressure on the Washington offense to make every possession matter. I don't see kind of like the Texas game where, you're kind of, almost trading punches and possession to possession until, one team can kind of maybe distance themselves a little bit. I think that's a big part of this game where, timely stops or not. I think Michigan's going to really be able to control that part of it.
So I think if it goes over, it's Washington. If it goes under, it's Michigan. I just don't. Michigan's offense hasn't shown me of late that they can get into a scoring derby like Washington is. I just think game control is big tonight, and I think Michigan will be able to do that. All right. Big thanks to Brett. Of course, we'll keep checking back in with him throughout the offseason, which begins at about 10 o'clock tonight.
10 o'clock.
Now I'm sad. Snow and no more college football.
Not really. That team in Lincoln has me very, very intrigued. I mentioned it was a good weekend for Nebraska football on a lot of different levels. But I continue to try and figure out the head man. I think I kind of figured out a part of what he did this weekend that we'll get into after the top of the hour. A little bit later, Jacob Bigelow stops by. We'll talk some hoops. Who's ranked today, Seton Hall or Creighton?
Seton Hall has get that victory over Marquette over the weekend as well, and take down Providence. It's tough to. What are they now? 10-5 though.
10-4, something like that.
I'm going to put Creighton in. Seton Hall's definitely made a case.
Pretty good, though.
Seton, who had a better week than Seton Hall?
Yeah, Creighton beat Georgetown, and Creighton beat Providence without their best player.
Right. I think Creighton, just having been in the top 25 and always just being on the outside, you get a 2-0 week, probably have a better shot. But man, again, I would ask who's had a better week than Seton Hall.
Jacob will join us coming up at 9. Nebraska is back at it tomorrow night against Purdue. Creighton is on the road at DePaul, who Tony Stubblefield. They're bad. They're really, really bad. We'll talk more about DePaul tomorrow.
Friends and family.
It'll be kind of the discussion on a similar but not similar about Georgetown that we had last week after Creighton play. That's a Creighton home game, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I watch it, Wintrust Arena, there's so many Creighton alum that live in Chicago, and that's their opportunity to go watch.
Mm-hmm.
It is nothing but Creighton fans there when Creighton plays there. And it always seems it's a CBS Sports Network game, and it's at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's what it is when you go to Chicago.
Yep.
And there's Scottie Pippen scouting or whatever he does, and then there's a bunch of Creighton fans.
Yep.
And it's a Creighton home game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it'll be tomorrow night. But
play it at 5.
I think Nebraska and Creighton tip off at the same time, I think, tomorrow, 8.
Yes, because the Nebraska-Purdue one is at 8.
So Jacob will join us at 9, and Amy just stops by at 9:30. We haven't talked to our Monday friends in a while, so it'd be good to catch up with all of them, with all of you. There are not a lot of people out on the roads, which is a good thing. It has not started to snow here in Midtown. So
under snow in Lincoln.
Stay inside. Listen, all you 16 zoners that are out there doing radio with us. I got a report that in Elkhorn, the sidewalks are starting to slick up.
Oh.
No!
So be careful.
Good thing they don't have school today.
Yeah. Frankie McDonald said it's coming, so we got to
did?
listen to Frankie.
Did we get a Frankie one?
He's got a bobblehead. Rusty Lord does not. It's mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
Hey folks, Kent Pavelka again to tell you about your local concrete experts at Everlevel Concrete Repair. Now, if you have cracked, uneven concrete, Everlevel can fix it at a fraction of the cost compared to replacement. This is no Band-Aid. Their products are built to last. It gives your concrete the durable protection it needs, and there's still time. I chose Everlevel for my driveway, and I've got peace of mind with their long-term transferable warranty. Everlevel's products and customer service are top-notch, and that's why they've been voted Best of Omaha again this year. Say it with me. Everlevel, Everlevel, Everlevel.
There's a reason people are joining the movement behind Nikki Haley.
She's a very, very successful governor. Haley shows us what American foreign policy looks like with a spy.
Your family deserves a president with grit and grace, a different style, not a name from the past. Nikki Haley will secure our border, restore our economy, and make our nation respected once more. Listen to Nikki Haley.
Our moment is now. Our mission is clear. Let's save our country and secure our future, and let's move forward together toward our destiny in a strong and proud America.
Iowa, it's time to caucus. Go to NikkiHaley.com/Iowa to learn more. And on Monday, January 15th, don't forget to caucus for a new generation of conservative leadership. That's NikkiHaley.com/Iowa.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie piled high with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Get pepperoni, beef, black olives, you choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
How much do you worry about your debt?
With over $15,000 I owe, constantly it keeps me awake at night.
Accelerated debt settlement can cut your debt by up to 85% and in as little as 7 to 12 months.
I could be free of debt in no time?
That's right. Other debt settlement companies can take years to negotiate down your debt, but accelerated debt settlement moves fast.
The sooner I don't have to stress about my debt, the better.
Exactly. In just months, Accelerated Debt Settlement's legal team will negotiate your unsecured debt down 60, 80, even 100%. Your debt from credit cards, student loans, timeshares, medical expenses, and more cut down 60, 80, even 100%. And you'll save thousands of dollars in interest payments.
Finally, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
And a good night's sleep.
Now get free of debt in a year or less with Accelerated Debt Settlement. Just call 1-888-508-8051 and we'll get to work for you. That's 1-888-508-8051. 1-888-508-8051.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows that Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we're in this together. We've all taken 5 to 9 inches before. Some wetter than others.
Yeah.
That's what's headed our way. Mm-hmm. So everybody, we're together. We're hearty soul. We can do this. We can do this.
Yes, we can.
Get your chili, get your cinnamon rolls ready.
It's good. It's a good soup night.
We had this discussion.
Yeah, good soup night.
It's a great day to go play football.
Good day to run the ball.
I don't know why kids don't go and play football. Everybody wants to sled. I'm going to play football.
Mm-hmm.
We should do that a lot.
If I didn't have a banged up shoulder, I would be out there with all of you.
Go find a backyard pickup game.
No, I would. I would like to have.
Well, Bishop was here.
Hey, going to Chicago.
Yeah.
I would put together on the fly a snow football game with all of our listeners. We'll just go. We can use Westside's field. Westside's field's always open.
Yeah.
And then if you look really good, we can recruit you to play for Westside. Hey,
he's just snuck that in.
Hey, Westside isn't the most aggressive recruiters in the metro. It's your neck of the woods.
The Millard schools.
Yeah. All right. All right. On the national championship game, which will be at 6:30 tonight, we welcome in Washington Lance.
Hey, that was good.
How you doing? How are people in Jacksonville doing after that meltdown yesterday?
Oh, yeah, I got kids. They're devastated. They're like, they're disappointed, man. They're devastated. Remember back in the day when Nebraska would lose, like in the 80s and 90s? I don't know about the 70s. But the 80s and 90s, and they would come on and it'll sound like a funeral when they lost.
Yeah.
Like the news would show that, that's how it was yesterday, man. They were not good. They were not in a good space. So it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough.
In a bad division, a meltdown like that, there's some soul searching that goes on. But hey, what about that game tonight?
Hey, man. Before we get to the game, you just mentioned high school recruiting in Nebraska, right?
Yes.
And you're saying
yes.
You called out Westside. Well, listen.
No, I didn't call out Westside.
Is the only school. Well, what'd you say? Yeah, you did. Didn't you say they were aggressive recruiting?
No, he said he said they're not the most aggressive. It's
I've gone through
shifting.
I've gone through. I've gone through the District 66 experience. It's a good experience to have. We welcome one and all.
There are other schools. Yes, there's other schools out here, and they're not. Hey, they're trying to get kids in the transfer portal. They are texting kids, documented. Hey, we need this type of player. You ready to come? We don't have a spot. Are you willing to transfer? This is documented. I'm not gonna post it or anything, but I've seen it. I'm like, you really text the kid this at another school? Like, I can't believe they put a paper trail out there.
We'll put a mailbox in the correct district, right?
Yeah, it's been going on ever since I moved back here. It just seems like this offseason's been a little bit more aggressive.
Yes, it has, big time. And I don't mind. Like, it's okay to recruit middle school kids, but don't go call a kid that's already at a school. That's wrong. Like, don't try to poach a kid, and then you're trying to poach a kid from a lesser program. This is a top program trying to get a kid at a lesser program because the kid is good. Like, man, what? Leave them alone. Let them build.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to labor this, but I will tell you that it was interesting. One of our TV games this year, a young quarterback played and was okay, but he was a freshman quarterback. Their AD after the game told me, he goes, "Yeah, we're not going to be able to hold on to him. He'll be somewhere else next year." And I thought, whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the same thing I know about a running. It's a freshman running back. that plays some varsity. They're trying to poach him. So I'm like, this is crazy. But anyway, so I want to throw that out there. But anyway, yeah, Michigan. Hey, I told you about Bama. I wasn't scared of Bama. Based on the team, based on what we looked at and what we prepared for, when Harbaugh is doing the Georgia drill, right, or Georgia time period in practice, like that was for SEC teams. Yeah, Georgia was the name because they won back-to-back, but that was for any SEC team that they were going to play. And I'm glad it was Alabama, and I'm glad it was Saban, because once they win the national championship tonight, you can't say you didn't see the SEC or the top of the SEC. This is a guy, one thing about Saban that I always knew, and I found it out, they played Clemson. Remember back-to-back years, they beat Clemson the first year, but then the second year Clemson got them.
Yeah.
But that first game against Clemson, in the second half, Clemson found something and they were coming back on them. They just ran out of time. And I knew then, I said, hold on a second. Saban isn't as good as a coach as I thought he is, especially defensively, because they picked him apart once they found out the scheme he was doing on defense, which was man-to-man, and he never adjusts from man-to-man. And you saw that against Michigan. He never, because you know why? Why would I need to adjust when I got 5 stars across the board on top of not just my starters, but my third stringers are 5-star too. So when he comes in, we're good to go. Well, you don't have that anymore with NIL. Now, you still got top recruits. Don't say Bama was a bad team. Since 2020, Bama has been in the top 3 in recruiting, and only 1 year where they were 3 since 2020. So they still got good players, but what they don't have are great players. Now, they don't have that 3rd and 4th string 5-star anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that was a good win. I knew their quarterback wasn't good enough. I knew he was inaccurate. I don't count playing Georgia Southern and Creighton Prep's JV team in the season.
I don't think they were on the schedule.
Where you rack up all these yards. Like, I don't want to hear that, man.
Yeah,
and I know
Milroe will be a favorite for the Heisman next year. His pocket presence, they need to work on. And they also need to call plays to his strength.
They need to work on.
Well, they need to call plays to his strength. I don't know why they had him at the beginning of the game dropping back.
Yeah,
so
other than
many
the
times.
third quarter, Tommy Reese did that for him.
Well, remember, it was fool's gold. Remember? Oh, he's been playing outstanding since this run. Look at the yards he's been passing for. Yeah, the SEC was not that great of a conference. I don't understand why people thought the Big Ten was a better conference than the SEC. But people are still, nobody wants to live in the moment. Everybody wants to live in the past. Well, Alabama's going to get Michigan. Michigan's been losing. If you watch the film all season, you saw Michigan's O-line and D-line. They were a different breed. It didn't matter who they played against. And they lull you to sleep because you feel like you're in a game and you're good third quarter, but they beat you in the fourth and any extra time. As you saw in overtime, what were the run plays that they called? They only ran 2 run plays, and what were they? Power.
Yeah.
They ran power, where the guard pulls and the fullback or H-back kicks out the end. That's old school, traditional, run downhill football.
That is Michigan
That's
football.
what they did to Bama in the overtime.
All right,
you know what I mean? That's winning football.
All right, so what happens tonight? I know you're rooting for that one team, but what happens tonight? How do they win?
I think they win like they – listen, this is going to be – they're going to win like they've beaten Ohio State the last 3 years, because this is no different than those Ohio State teams.
So you are right, but I'm going to look at it, and you might be getting to this. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm looking at it from the wide receivers. The year that Ohio State, 2 years ago, had the plethora of NFL guys. Yeah, that prepares this Michigan team for what they'll see tonight.
Exactly. And they're going to win up front as usual. Penix doesn't run the ball well. You know what I mean? He's a pocket passer. Now, he can move a little bit, but not enough to, you know what I mean, to hurt us. And like, he's not going to run for 20 yards. You know what I mean, on a QB scramble. You know, so I'm not worried. So I'm not worried about him third and long, getting first downs with the run. So he's gonna drop back, and we're gonna bring the heat like we've done all year. We're gonna be trouble for this. This isn't anything that Michigan has not seen in the last, like you said, in the last 3 years with Ohio State, with the NFL first round quarterback. and good wide receivers like I'll say that, and a team that does not want to run the ball consistently. You see what I'm saying? They want to throw it around, which that's what you should do. That's your strength. You know what I mean? But that's not – if you can't run the ball against Michigan, you're in trouble, and they're not going to be able to do that. And so Michigan, though, is going to put a chokehold on them with the run game, and they'll beat them in the fourth quarter. They're not going to be able to – this isn't going to be – listen, TCU prepared them too. They got in a shootout with TCU last year. Don't get in a shootout with teams that you're better than up front. And so they learned from that too. They're sticking with the run game, no matter if they get 0 yards in the third quarter, because they know in the fourth quarter they're going to break it open. So that's what's going to happen. It may be a close game, but they're going to, in the end, Michigan is going to, Blake Corum is not going to let them lose, as you've seen. He didn't play in these games, the Ohio State and the playoff games. Look what he's done now since he's played them.
Yeah, I think there's that drive for guys that came back to finish it off. That's an intangible.
Yep.
All right, enjoy the game tonight. I'm sure we'll hear from you tomorrow, win or lose.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
If it's not tomorrow, it'll be Wednesday. Oh, how's the snow up there? Did they cancel school?
Oh, they canceled school. There's no snow yet.
Yeah. School's canceled.
Oh,
It's
wow,
coming,
it's that
though.
bad, huh?
It's making its way here.
Yeah. They got remote learning, though.
I don't miss those days.
I know you don't. Hey, thank you, my friend.
Ooh, that's fun. All right, fellas. Goodbye.
All right, win or lose, you heard it. He'll call in tomorrow.
You say it's okay to recruit during recruit middle school? Oh, I'm sorry. Recruit middle school transfer.
I don't know. Just something we all live with.
It is. We just accept it now.
Yep.
We're in a transfer portal world.
It's all about winning.
Well,
that's it.
The world is a transfer portal.
Portal rankings have the Millard schools doing very well.
They're like the Ole Miss.
Yes. All right, 8-11. We come back. Are we going to be okay? Is it going to take a transition time to respond to a head football coach that is finally acting like the head coach of a big boy program without results on the field? Because that's what Matt Rule is doing with what happened this past weekend, in my opinion. We'll get into that. Jacob Bigelow, Amy Just still to come before we're out at 10, and we're out on the roads. It is not snowing yet, but it is creeping into the metro. Just be smart, everybody. I know you are. It's just we haven't experienced something like this in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's winter.
Watch the Barry Sanders documentary. That's what I'll do today. I haven't watched it yet.
There's something there.
I might go to Memorial Park and hang out with kids.
Oh yeah, start a football game.
Start a football game or a sled.
Teach them the option.
Or I'll go out, drive all the way to Lincoln. Go to Holmes Lake. Maybe not because of the roads.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend travel.
Yeah.
Be smart.
But we need
use your own advice. Use your own advice.
We need better sledding options here in Omaha.
Oh, and have you seen some of the sled technology now?
Isn't that
pretty
park
affordable
down
too?
There, they got a hill.
That's called Memorial Park. Yes.
Okay.
That park down there.
Yeah.
Kind of significant in Omaha, Jimmy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You drive by it. They got a big statue.
Big concert there every year too.
I knew that.
It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Omaha Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dreamtime Saving Traffic Center, the roads have been quiet throughout the morning. No accidents to report. If you're on westbound Dodge, roadways reduced to one lane at 84th due to a water main break. If you're on eastbound West Center Road, there is slowdowns between 192nd and 168th. If you have to make a morning commute, plan ahead, take your time, be careful of possible slick road conditions. And as always, buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck by playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there are only 2 trucks left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
Hi, this is Doug Nodgard with Equitable Bank. Great service never goes out of style. When the digital age dawned, many said computers would be able to handle many of the interactions that used to take a person. Boy, were they wrong. How many times have you called your bank and gotten a recording to press 1 or 2? Not at Equitable. Not only does Equitable answer your call in the first ring, it's answered by a human being. That's because Equitable Bank values its customers. Equitable Bank, we take banking personally. Member FDIC.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. As we move on into 2024, I know so many of you out there have New Year's resolutions for what is next. Why not a resolution for improved vision? At Kugler Vision, they can change your life in a matter of minutes. It was 6 years ago when I went in for my consultation, the beginning of 2018, and then I had the procedure done that February, changed my life. 6 years later, so happy that I made that decision. You can do so today. Go to their website, KuglerVision.com.
Make the right call. John Higgins Weather Car, the home of the roofery.
When it's time to replace or repair storm damage, make the right call. John Higgins Weather Guard, the local, trusted, and proven choice. No one has installed more Da Vinci roofs, and there's a reason why John Higgins Weather Guard is the nation's leader. Community member, community supporter. Make the right call.
John Higgins Weather Car, the home of the roofery. Make the right call.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620, The Zone.
Let's go Steelers! Black and gold. Wave those terrible towels. Somebody perform a miracle on TJ Watt. How many interceptions is Josh Allen going to throw?
3.
Let's go Steelers. Let's go Steelers. Let's go Steelers. That line is, hey, that line is kind of wild. 9.5 to 10.
Yeah.
People might be crazy. There's a path. There's a path for Patrick Mahomes to not go on the road and make it back to the Super Bowl. Just wanted to keep everybody updated because you've all forgotten about the Chiefs. I've heard you. I've heard you out there.
So is TV.
I don't.
They'll never forget about it.
I mean, this is the
Chiefs.
Are you fully trusting the Baltimore Ravens?
Nope. No, I'm not.
Lamar Jackson is healthy. They can run it. They can pass it. I kind of am.
Between the 1 seeds, way more on board with the Niners than I am with Baltimore.
Yeah, the Niners' path is pretty simple.
Just win.
Yeah.
Good things will happen.
I think the best game of the weekend will be at Ford Field. I like the Rams and the Lions. I like that matchup.
Yep.
And that is, to me, the top game of the weekend. We'll chat about the Super Wildcard weekend coming up throughout the week. So Arthur Smith, Ron Rivera.
That's it right now.
And that's it right now on Black Monday. Bill Belichick will meet with the Kraft family, and then they will decide. It feels like a likely divorce. And then
on his way to Washington,
Arthur Blank will kick the tires on Bill Belichick. You know, if he is willing to be involved in modernized football with front offices and the game and how you build a roster, I still got a couple of more trips around the sun as a coach.
Sure.
But that's they have. I mean, his philosophy is a little bit like 80s, 90s in the NFL right now. And
Man,
when you don't have Tom Brady and you don't have that enormous amount of talent they had with the Patriots, it rears its ugly head and you make a mistake at quarterback. All right. Jacob Bigelow, Jamie Just in the next hour. Get to my thought on Matt Rule here in a moment after a really good weekend for Nebraska football. Somebody brought up a point in the Equitable Bank inbox. They emailed me, and they were talking about Harbaugh. So I'm ready for this to be over. Either going to stay. If you stay, you're going to, fight the power because the NCAA is going to come after you. You're also going to be a rich man. I've heard $125 million to stay. He might be better off staying because once he's done at Michigan, he's done in college football.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's the NFL.
Where are you going to go then?
And he wants to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for this to be over, so it's not a discussion every year, and it looks more likely that he's off to the NFL, probably to my division. He'll be with the Chargers. But there'll be other suitors out there. So if this is it, and this is the last game for Harbaugh, and they win a national championship, and they basically give the big finger to everybody, this was a question posed. This is by Ed. He goes, if Harbaugh departs, what is his lasting impression on the game of college football? Here's how I would answer that. I think Harbaugh's impact to the game of college football isn't about the sport in general. It's the fact that he brought back the Michigan side of the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. Because of how quirky he is, and he is willing to say anything, and he's not afraid of Ohio State, and he's also beaten Ohio State. He leaned into that rivalry more than a Rich Rod or a Brady Hoke have done. And so he has taken the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry to a new level. I think that's his biggest contribution to college football. Not anything like he's reinvented the game with the way he plays it. I think it's simply he has had success in the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, and he has become a foil for Ohio State. Thus, the best rivalry in college football has a whole nother level they've gone to.
And so what I immediately thought when you asked that question was you brought a major brand back in power. But to your point, by bringing that brand back in power, you needed to do what they've done now the last 3 years against Ohio State. So I think it all works hand in hand. But yeah, when I think of Jim Harbaugh, if we want to get into the detail of that rivalry, absolutely. That is one of the huge contributions that Jim Harbaugh will always be known for. But I also think in more of the macro, if you look at the brand itself beyond just the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, he brought a major college football brand back to, national relevance to the level of, being on the cusp of a national championship and just having that Michigan brand right there.
TC writes in, Ron Rivera out. Where does that leave Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah.
And it's now or never. I think it would leave him as the head coach of the Commanders.
I think so too.
But if Eric Bieniemy in this go around, after he got away from Andy Reid and called plays, and you saw what Kansas City was like in terms of their offensive innovation with Matt Nagy.
Hey, my God.
It's probably now or never for Eric Bieniemy.
Yep.
Maybe EB comes back to Kansas City when Reid retires.
I always thought that was a possibility.
You want to give it to Matt Nagy?
Like this year? There was a lot of chatter yesterday. I think Andy's enjoying it and he has some more time.
Yeah, I think he has.
He's doing State Farm commercials now too. He's happy.
We know a guy that's not going back. We know a guy that's not going back to the NFL is Matt Rule. He probably could have sticked in the NFL with a different owner, but also a different approach. He was at the football convention yesterday and he was speaking. He made an interesting comment. He said, one of the mistakes I made is I didn't listen. And I know that he has listened more at Nebraska to what has ailed the program throughout many, many years. He also listens. I said this the other day when they dropped 3 offers on in-state products in the class of 25. I said, he's listening to somebody because one of them was kind of out of the box projecting. And I thought someone has seen him play in person, Zebra to Platteview, and said, you got to get on this guy early because he's going to ball out. So Rule has, and I think there's now the video is up of his appearance yesterday, and it was really, really good. But this weekend was a good weekend for Nebraska football. So they get Isaiah Nayor, who I love big-bodied wide receivers. I think he is future as a possession wide receiver. Everybody wants the stretch the field guy. Well, Nebraska might have a couple of those guys on the roster, but I see him as a possession guy. And Nayor, it's not worth taking that's the wrong word. It's worth taking a flyer on because of what he did at Wyoming. the whole thing with him is mental. It's not physical. It's all mental. When you've been at the height of your position and you suffer an injury and you're not able to get back there, but physically everybody says, yeah, you're close to 100%. It's all mental. If they can get over the mental hurdle of getting back to where he was at Wyoming, that's a great pickup. Then they got Dowdell at running back, which is fantastic because he's got 3 years to play and he's everything you want in a running back. And he warmed my cockles by talking about 90s eye backs. If you want to,
said eye back.
If you want to warm my cockles and you're a sports fan, not a woman. Well, I mean, I guess I would.
Oh yeah.
Jesus, I would marry you on the spot. If you were a woman in my life,
talking eye backs,
and you said, "Hey, on our first date," which I just celebrated an anniversary.
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you. Let's talk about LP or Amon. Who would you take? If a woman did that to me, I'd marry her on the
You'd
spot.
say, check, please.
I'd say, let's go downtown to the Douglas County Courthouse.
Mix in some fullback.
But when young kids who weren't born when the LPs and the Amons and the Kenny Clarks were running wild and they mention those guys and their style, my cockles get warmed. And Nebraska got a commitment from a one-cut back guy that I think with the right pieces around him could flourish at Nebraska. So they get that. They get Dylan Raiola in town, eating at Isles Pizza, recruiting.
Lucky.
I mean, the kid is a great peer recruiter.
Yeah.
What we are not understanding about Raiola is when he plays this year, and I hate the discussion. I can't have a discussion with y'all if you're not saying that he's already the starting quarterback. He's the starting quarterback. Okay? Dylan Raiola is the starting quarterback.
Deal with it.
Why don't you deal with it? It's reality,
It
and
is.
it could turn out to be a huge thing. Because in terms of peer recruiting, we can always look at peer recruiting. Hey, I'm in the class and I'm contacting all these guys and hey, come join me. Do you realize that if he is what could possibly be, you imagine the impact of peer recruiting with a guy that's done it on the field, what it could look like for the class of 25?
Yeah.
Of, oh, I'm going to play with that guy, and I already have tangible evidence of what he's like. So you got him recruiting. And then why I say it's also another good weekend is Nebraska is finally starting without the results on the field. I'm not overlooking that. It's still unbelievable to me that Nebraska's gone 7 years without being in a bowl game, and they didn't get to a bowl game this year. That's a failure. That is a failure to not get to a bowl game, and when you had all of November to get there. Okay? Those are what they are. The results on the field are not good enough. But the brand is still strong, and it's nice and comforting to see a head coach who's got a plan that's aggressive, who now gives you a sense of urgency that is acting like a big boy program. The Dancing with Dana Holgorsen, and we don't know what his role would be. Could it be an analyst? And with a new NCAA rule, he's able to act on the field as a coach?
Yeah.
Is it as a co-OC and working as a quarterback coach? We don't know what his role would be. I tend to lead towards the analyst, but it wouldn't surprise me if he is co-OC. But who else does that kind of stuff with former head coaches that are out of the biz?
Nick Saban.
Big boy programs. Nebraska's finally acting like a big boy program because they got the bag to do it. They don't have the results, but they have the bag, and that's going to tick off a lot of people, and we're going to get made fun of because of winning the offseason championship. Well, you found a head coach who realizes that the window has now opened, and there's a sense of urgency, and he thinks and he knows that they're further ahead than they thought, and that they're not that far away from being good on the field. Not playoff good, but being good, being where you got a chance most Saturdays to win a football game.
Yeah.
I also think in his actions, because right now with the quarterback position, nothing is done without the blessing of the Raiolas. Okay. You're not just all of a sudden springing something on them and go, hey, this guy at Hy-Vee was checking me out and he was giving me a breakdown of the banana Y2Z. I'm going to bring him on. Dom, what do you think? But here's another thing to think about in this whole dealing with a kid that walks in the door with all those accolades, and you need him to walk out of the door and go straight to the NFL. So you got to find the guy that's going to Marcus Satterfield, you ain't touching Dylan Raiola.
Yep.
Okay, that's the only thing we know about the coaches is Satterfield's not the quarterback coach.
Right.
Okay, that's not happening. And you're not going to touch him. So you got to find a guy that's going to touch him and mold him and get him to the NFL because he's walking in and he needs to walk out into the NFL. There's another part when I think about their actions. Your time at Nebraska as the head coach wouldn't be derailed by a 6-6 season or a 5-7 and then 7-5. Your career at Nebraska would be derailed by the disappointment of the Raiolas that their son would move on. And so you're going to do everything, realizing what you have, that, man, the window is open. You're not going to let down a guy that has allowed his kid to come back to your school.
And for some people, that might sound like too much power for one player who hasn't played a college football snap to possess, but it's the reality of trying to have a marketable improvement of a position that you desperately need improvement for. And so this goes back to the conversation we had when Dylan Raiola had made it official. And that was having the support around him, looking what had failed in the past when starting quarterbacks at a young part of their career, whether it's a true freshman or younger quarterbacks, and not having the support cast and just assuming that that quarterback will mask any deficiencies that you have, as opposed to surrounding that person with talent, with whether it's experience on the offensive line or you're bringing in areas that are going to help him. Like I immediately think of Dante Dowdell, who, by the way, Dylan Raiola was in his little commitment picture too with the boombox. Think about the security of...
Yeah, because he's smart. He's your starting quarterback in 2024 and beyond, and he wants to win. The whole program wants to win. There's a sense of urgency. I haven't gotten that feel for a while. So yeah. He's going to try and attract as many good players around him because they want to win.
Well, and speaking
Crazy
of
concept,
right? Speaking of security, that's what I think of Dante Dowdell when I think of what is going to be paramount for you. We'll see. Again, 2022 is best year coming off of a knee injury. Or I'm sorry, 2021 was his best year. 2022 coming off of a knee injury. I'm waiting to see with him, but what he projects, if he's all there, that's good. Those are good things to have when you have the wide receiving core that you trust. You got some young guys that you trust, but having a steady running back, a guy that can be a true workhorse type of running back in helping out what Dylan Raiola is eventually going to become. So there's that part of it. Then I'm with you. The Dana Holgorsen, I know immediately everybody jumped to OC quarterback or co-OC or just quarterback coach.
There's a couple of positions that are on the table.
Yes. It wouldn't shock me as analyst, especially when you see coaches that, either they leave or they get fired. They've sometimes resurfaced in that first year as an analyst, and then you kind of see what goes on from at that point. The bottom line is what Dana Holgorsen is attached to, going all the way back in his time in the air raid offense with Mike Leach. And guys with big arms and how they've been able to develop those guys. This is a quarterback for the first time in a very long time that has big time capability when it comes to the downfield passing attack. What was just horrifically lacking last year for Nebraska. And even though an offense that wants to run the football, be able to have that threat and that element of this offense to have a guy that can sling it, being able to develop.
I think we have to be careful here because I'm not going to take a lot away from last year because they had to readjust and they went with the strengths of each quarterback.
Fair. I still think there's going to be a presence of running the football. I mean, as far as being physical up front and being able to do that.
You don't bring Dylan Raiola to your
campus
and say, turn and hand the ball off.
No, and he's not going to be a play action guy, but just being able to have that element that when you can run the football in the Big Ten, that leads to so many great things for whatever type of quarterback you are. I again go back to what his traits are, what Dylan Raiola is known for. Being able to make every throw, big, strong arm, smooth delivery, all those mechanics are there. And you immediately think of when Dana Holgorsen's name's brought up, you're thinking of guys like Will Grier. You're thinking of guys like Graham Harrell, Geno Smith, Case Keenum, guys that have had big arms that they've been able to develop. They've been able to put guys into the league. So
yeah, this is a league thing.
Absolutely
This is a head coach who I asked, I'm not going to mention his assistant, but this was right before signing day. And I asked one of his assistants about kind of his approach. and he said he feels that, and they always call him coach. He feels that, and I'll just say Rule, that he owes it to people to win immediately, like now, like owes it to his staff, his players. Remember, I told you they gathered the older guys before last year, and if you just hang with me at least for 2 years, I'm going to get you to where you want to go. So he feels like he owes it to the players, to his staff, to himself, to the fans, and I think his offseason approach backs that up.
I agree.
Because they're looking at, if you go off of the deficiencies that this roster had left, haven't they addressed them? Quarterback being number one.
Yep.
They're better at quarterback with a kid that is not even on campus than they realize.
Because he's a quarterback. I mean, he's truly a quarterback, and he's a talented one. Yes.
You did not have the trustworthy. I think a lot of the love of Irvin was he's our running back one instead of, man, I want this to happen, but I don't need it. So they went out and fixed the deficiency. They found a downhill power running back that looks like he transitions easily into the Big Ten. And then they got a wide receiver room, which is young. You got eight underclassmen in that wide receiver room. So you need some older dudes. Yep. They've approached it as to fix the deficiencies that they had, and they've been aggressive, which is odd for all of us to go, man, got a head coach that's aggressive, but aggressive with the play. They haven't taken, let's just throw darts at the dartboard, let's just offer 400, portal guys, let's see what happens. Now, their thing that is left from this weekend is linebacker is a problem, like inside linebacker. Dylan Rogers interests me, but they're addressing that. They just haven't gotten a commitment. It's an approach that is refreshing, but we haven't really seen, because we've all had guys around here that have approached it, but they've never had a plan behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good weekend.
And I think the best way to describe it is there's a noticeable sense of urgency. It is absolutely a sense of urgency of understanding that your window defensively right now currently exists, and what you have with that offensive line, while you're bringing a younger group up, you have experience there too. And so with this quarterback, that clock starts now in his development, but you had to address those areas, especially in the skill position, and they may not be done. I mean, if Jamal Banks is a guy that ends up choosing Nebraska, and it sounds like there's a lot of positive momentum behind that, you get I would say very similar bodies between Naor and Jamal Banks. One is just playing more recently because he wasn't rehabbing through an injury, but you have addressed that from the simple fact of you need to give this kid some confidence early on. Kid that already comes in with confidence, but when he looks to his left, looks to his right, and has a group that he trusts, they're going to trust him. That's an offense, and that's a situation that you could say, you know what, even if it doesn't end up being a banner true freshman year, the last thing you could do as a coaching staff is look back and say, man, we only would have won about this differently in January. And truly, that is not what this coaching staff is doing. When it comes to getting guys out of the transfer portal and recruiting, you're going to have some L's. But as long as you are putting yourself out there and you are trying to address it, everybody on that roster sees that. That's a powerful thing.
Yeah, I don't think we can say what Nebraska's offense will look like until after spring, because the one thing that Rule admits that their offensive creativity is not very good. Thus, that's why Holgorsen is attractive to you, is nobody can pick out and say, I know what Nebraska's offense is going to look like until 24, until you go through a spring with Raiola. One thing about Rule and listening, he adapts to the strength of the player. Yep. So they'll go through a full spring and they'll challenge Raiola, and then that's what their offense will look like when they put it together in the offseason and then going into the fall. But they need creativity on the offensive side of the ball. So that's why a guy that has been around some of the more creative minds in college football is very, very intriguing. It's just a weird fit. But Holgorsen doesn't have to recruit. So he's an analyst or he's an actual paid guy. He doesn't have to recruit, and that's fine. He doesn't. I mean, a lot of OCs don't recruit. We'll see. Again, a good weekend for Nebraska, and it could be more. Jamal Banks' timeline is probably sped up a little bit, so we'll see on that. All right, here is John before the break on the 42 Degree Source Hotline. Good morning, John.
Good morning, guys. Just from the earlier caller on high school coaching, NIL has pushed this all the way down to middle school and high school. Guys just want to win. The players want to win. NIL has made it great for the players to make money, and so that's just not going to change. And I think the teams have a harder time because the players want to win, right? So they're going to get money, but they want to win. So you mentioned that with Barkley and with Henry in the pros. Everybody wants to be with a winner, and they all want to make money. So unfortunately, NIL has pushed this all the way down to the college, and now soon to high school and probably elementary. So when I have a grandchild, I'm going to just start getting my film ready and make some money.
All right, John, thanks for the call.
No, NIL is not allowed at the high school level, at least yet. But
if it happens, it'll be in Texas.
The transfer portal mindset, I could follow along with John on that one. But as far as the NIL thing, it's only allowed at college. Don't know if that's coming to a high school or middle school near you anytime soon.
You think John was listening to our show?
Do
you think John has our show confused with somebody else?
He mentioned Henry and Barkley. I know we didn't bring up Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley.
Might have just had the wrong show, and then heard a little bit of our conversation. Okay,
they're all the same.
Hey, no, I listen. They're not all the same. All right, 8:41. Jacob Bigelow. It's truth, man. Jacob Bigelow coming up at the top of the hour. Amy Just as well. The mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Previously on The Crossover.
I want to hear the thank you at the end of it, too.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. When you order a Big Mac at McDonald's.
No, thank you.
Thank you, caller Connor.
Good job, Connor. No, thank you.
Maybe it was Connor Stallion. No,
it could have been.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Monday. Expect snow to pick up in the metro mainly after 9 a.m., then continue through the rest of the day. Heavy at times through the p.m. hours. Temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Snow continues overnight, lingering into Tuesday morning as winds ramp up. Storm totals around the metro between 5 and 9 inches. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dreamtime Saving Traffic Center, the roads have been quiet throughout the morning. No accidents to report. Just a heads up, if you're on westbound Dodge, roadways reduced to one lane at 84th due to a water main break. The winter storm is approaching, so if you have to make a morning commute, be sure to plan ahead, bundle up, and take it slow and steady. And as always, buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
You can find pizza anywhere. But when you want pizza pie, pile pie with more toppings, that's when you come to my place, Godfather's Pizza. For a limited time, get your hands on 2 of my large one-topping pizzas. Pick pepperoni, beef, black olives. You choose. All this food for only $30. Feed your whole mob without breaking the bank. Hey, it's an offer you can't refuse. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
News Talk 1290 Coil is your home for Omaha Maverick hockey all season long. Don't miss a single puck drop, power play, barn burner, or any of the action this season. Your home for Maverick hockey, both home and away, is News Talk 1290 Coil.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard. Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks. Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long. And with Babbel, it isn't hard. It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Legomaniac writes into the Equitable Bank inbox about Dylan Raiola's peer recruiting. Think of how limitless it is in recruiting, and now recruiting you try to get done before the season begins. But of the flipping, once a guy starts to perform on the field and he's a young quarterback, how attractive that is. It's not just skill guys.
Yeah.
I think it's they can win with that guy. I want to go play there.
Yep. Play some defense.
He also has a bunch of connections with the highest rated players at O-line, running back, wide receiver in the 24 class, with the transfer portal being what it is. If some of those guys that end up at Georgia and Texas end up at the portal, I would think Raiola could help Nebraska be a favorite to land them. That is, you never burn bridges. You always keep the door open.
Mm-hmm.
You never, because you have to be really good. And we're seeing this in college basketball first and foremost. Now with the portal taking hold in college football, is you have to be good at.
Yes.
So they break your heart, they say you're going somewhere else, and they're like, hey, good luck. But remember, if things don't work out, we're here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We know you, you know us. As long as we're still here and you're interested and maybe it doesn't work out and you're looking for a place, hey, give us a call. It's the art of the bounce back. Look, at college basketball is really good at that. Hey, we lost out, but remember us. We were in the recruiting battle. Look at Isaac Trout.
Yeah.
Creighton went down to the end with Virginia, Nebraska, and Creighton and whoever else. And they're like, you know what? Hey, sometimes we don't win, but if it's ever an option, you want to come back close to home, we're here for you. Boom, what happened? He's back and he's now riding the bench.
And this topic was brought up.
I don't mean to be harsh, but
yeah.
They got to. Hey, I don't know what that bench is going to be like the rest of the year for Creighton, but that's for another day.
This exact topic was brought up when I was listening to Dan Mullen talk 2 years ago about the adjustments that college coaches had to make and how maybe it's not for every college coach. And he was almost kind of referring to himself of there's a lot of new pressures that you have to evolve as a coach in the college game. And he was talking a little bit about it was more about the recruiting the current roster, re-recruiting the current roster, but it was brought back up about, when a guy doesn't choose you, how you do have to be a little bit more open to, like you said, the bounce back. But I don't, and especially in college basketball, this wasn't a foreign concept because we saw this happening in college athletics. Yeah, there was a deterrent where you had to sit out a year, but there have been transfers that you've had recruiting battles with. It didn't go your way. It didn't go your way early on, and so they go somewhere else. But it didn't work out there. You never burned that bridge, and I think back then there was maybe a little bit of the, okay, if you don't choose us, we don't need you. But I just feel like if you were a coach and you had that mindset, I don't think you were doing your job properly, unless there was something during that recruitment that really rubbed you the wrong way, and you knew for a fact that, you know what, it's probably better off this guy didn't choose us because this wasn't going to be a good fit. I can't really understand a coach that if you see value in a guy that you're recruiting, that you're putting time in trying to recruit, that all of a sudden when they don't choose you, that you would feel so defeated that door, you would not relay that door would be open later on if they would come back around. But there are coaches that felt that way, that they take that as a personal diss, and all of a sudden that bridge is burned and you're never going to get that guy back.
When we come back, quick segment, because we've got Jacob Bigelow at the top of the hour. We used to pay a lot of attention to these high school all-star games. I felt like one was played this weekend that very little attention was paid to. But I can tell you, one game that'll be highly, 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 highly watched around here will be coming up on the 19th. We'll get into that when we come back. It's Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
42 Degrees wants to start your year off right with hot deals on our top health and wellness products. Our best-selling Kratom extracts up to 20% off. Delta products starting at $4.99. You want to save up to 25% on the best premium flower in town? Then hurry down to any one of our 10 convenient locations and let the knowledgeable and friendly staff show you why 42 Degrees is the source for all your needs. Buy your mom's house.
My passion for the unborn comes from my own unplanned pregnancy. Dan and I have been together for over 45 years. We have 3 of the most beautiful children. My name is Marlis Patma. I'm the former president of Iowa Right to Life, and I'm supporting Nikki Haley for president. I've heard Nikki's story. She speaks with such clarity about the importance of life because for her, it's personal.
I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children.
Nikki's a sister in Christ. She's pro-life. She has compassion and strength. I want a president with moral clarity who can restore our country, our pride, and our purpose. For my children and yours, please support Nikki Haley for president.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
Hear that? The sound of adorable little birds in your garden. And if you were here, you'd taste the 2 sweet but tiny tomatoes you grew all by yourself. But you're not here. Because your self-care happens when you're riding your motorcycle, protected by Progressive, on your way to the store for a pack of normal-sized tomatoes. So if you ride, switch to Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer, without getting your hands dirty. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. Ramp.com/sports. RAMP.com/sports.
1620 The Zone at 1620thezone.com. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, no snow yet. Traffic copter reporter Kellyanne says that 680 to 80 to 480, mostly dry and very light traffic.
Okay. Get me to 11 o'clock. It'd be good.
Out here, it looks fine over in Dodge right now.
Come on, Dome.
Yeah, we're just, we got to hang in there for like another hour or so.
Hey, so the guy that hosted the Golden Globes last night, he was extremely, it was uncomfortable to watch. His monologue bombed. So he's on live TV and it's bombing. The Taylor Swift one did not go so well, but that was not, you got to watch the whole thing. And I only watched the monologue and then bits and pieces. I used to watch the Golden Globes all the time, but I'm like a lot of people that don't watch award shows.
I am as well.
From start to finish. But Joe Coy is going to be at Ralston Arena in March doing stand-up.
Hey, chance for redemption.
That's where you're going for stand-up?
Not
the Steelhouse, not the CHI.
Not Baxter.
Baxter doesn't have a lot of comedians.
I don't know if I don't think there has been a comic.
March 16th. Is that also when the NCAA tournament's in town?
Yeah, it would be. Yes, it would be. So now we know why CHI Health Center was not an option. It's going to limit. That might limit the audience there.
Yeah.
Bad timing.
Also not watching some this weekend. I kicked myself because I didn't even record it. And I usually watch the All-American Bowl in San Antonio. Now we have the declarations. And Nebraska has 3 guys that were playing it.
Yeah.
2 offensive linemen and then Carter Nelson. I don't know why all of a sudden it didn't get as much attention. Is because we're so enamored with the portal, we don't pay attention to these all-star games anymore? Because it used to be a big deal around here. We talked to all of our recruiting guys, and they'd be talking about it, and people would watch. It'd be on NBC. You waited for the declarations. I didn't watch it down. So I just watched the highlights, and so I see Carter Nelson for the first time going against 11-man guys. Yeah. I will tell you a game that you will watch, and talk about peer recruiting, but let's make somebody shine. So the Polynesian Bowl is played on the 19th. Nebraska's quarterback will be throwing to a future member of the tight end room that game.
Yep.
You don't think that he will single him out to get him involved in offense? Because I don't think Carter Nelson's numbers, I think he had, 1 catch?
Yeah.
A nice catch, yak. But they're going to play in the Polynesian Bowl. I know I will watch that.
Yes, and then Preston Tamua also in that one too. Kind of want to see him. So you've got 3 Nebraska players in there. I did notice when I was looking at the roster, there was quite a few undeclared still, which will obviously happen in the February signing day too. Scholarship, but yes, I want to see it. I want to see Dylan chucking it.
People will watch. I mean, he'll so will that be a case where he will then come to campus afterwards because the players are back next week, right? So he'll probably go to the Polynesian Bowl, practice, and then play, and then enroll in school.
That makes sense. Yes.
And what are they? We haven't really discussed this because I'd like to see him play against 11-man players. What are the expectations for Carter Nelson? My expectations are really low this upcoming year for him. Yeah. That doesn't mean I don't like what he can be, but I just don't see him walking in the door. And
that's a tough ask.
I just don't. So but I've never really heard a full discussion. We've never had about what his expectations are for the first year. Incredible athlete, but I think you gotta factor in the transition.
Yes.
I mean, Seth Malcolm will tell you that 8-man to 11-man.
Yeah, I would not think that if he was able to from day one just stand out, look like he belonged amongst that level in 11-man football as a true freshman, that would be unbelievable. There's just no way you could hold that expectation. I mean, truly development, transition, get the body right, get the concepts right. There's a lot of learning curve there.
I mean,
There's no question.
It's important that he is a contributor to Nebraska. I just don't. And maybe he shows up in 24 and you go, whoa. I just don't. This upcoming season have like, oh my gosh, he's going to be a guy that's going to get to 40 catches. Right. You know, dislodge Tony with I think it's going to be a transition, so I will wait on that. One thing we can't wait on with this kid is there's got to be a meaning behind it. Can someone help him change his Twitter handle?
What is the Twitter handle? I got to look here.
You don't know what Carter Nelson's Twitter handle is?
I do not know his Twitter handle, no.
How many numbers are in a phone number?
7. Are we including area code?
Okay. Thank you, Jimmy.
You can't do that.
So there has to be a meaning behind Carter Nelson's Twitter, which is 838-54638.
Would have preferred 8675309.
Here we go.
Just big 80s music fan.
But there has to be a meaning behind that. Like, that's my first, when you first get a Twitter handle and you don't come up with your own.
Yeah, and it just gives you
like a generated number.
And an egg picture.
Yes.
Yes.
Carter does not have an egg.
So I've never, there may be a meaning behind that, but we got to work with our man. We got to get a new Twitter handle
Favorite
on that
players,
one.
maybe?
83, 85, 46, 38.
Yeah.
Because he wears 22.
Yeah. There's a lot of Carters on X. So
if somebody knows if that has meaning to him, let me know. It just, when we first started to become aware of him,
Carter Nelson 1620 NIL.
Well, no, when we first became aware of him, I thought, oh, it's just a young kid who, got on Twitter because he's out there.
Yeah.
But he's never changed it. So maybe there was something behind that. But he's at Carter 838 54-638.
Yeah, it's not a phone number.
Hut. Try calling that.
This would be a good sip question. I don't know.
Jacob Bigelow will join us next. We'll talk some hoops, y'all. Tomorrow, Creighton is at DePaul. Number 1, Purdue. Somebody emailed me. You guys were talking about Purdue the other day.
Mm-hmm.
They said Schreiner was not all in on Purdue.
No.
And neither am I.
Yeah, you guys both were not on the Purdue side of it. And you guys also told me that Indiana sucks and was not a good win for Nebraska.
Well, that was Schreiner.
Okay.
I'm indifferent on Indiana.
So Purdue is a fake number 1 team right now, in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
They're good, but I think Nebraska.
We're just talking about the regular season right now. We haven't gotten to the postseason.
Yeah, they're number 1 because they're ranked number 1 right now, but they won't be there later. They won't make it out of the first weekend. That was my prediction.
Yes, you said they wouldn't make it out of the first
and
weekend.
I'll stick to that.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
But they won't lose in the first game.
I was fending off. I was doing it for the greater good of Purdue.
Yeah, we got Gene Katie Handley over here.
I just think they were way better. You guys are
Big
giving
dog
them
Nick Handley
better than what you're giving them credit for.
Well, you'll see him up close and personal tomorrow night in Lincoln. Jacob joins us next. Amy Just in the last hour as well.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Dream Time Saving Traffic Center, it's a quiet Monday morning as there's no accidents to report. If you're on westbound Dodge, roadways reduced to 1 lane at 84th due to a water main break. If you're headed on northbound 204th, there's delays from Harrison to F. Also on West Center Road, delays from 180th to 168th. If you have to make a morning commute, be sure to plan ahead, bundle up, and take it slow and steady. And as always, buckle up and drive safe out there. I'm Joey Colbert.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Someone just won a beautiful new blue truck by playing Trucks and Bucks 2023. So there are only 2 trucks left. Better get to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy a ticket, and play today. Top prize odds, 1 in 336,000.
Hi, everybody. Kent Pavelka here with why I chose Everlevel Concrete Repair for my driveway. They do it all. They fix cracks, lift sunken slabs, protect the finished product from deterioration, and all at a fraction of the price of replacement. It's not a Band-Aid like other repair methods. Everlevel's products are designed to last, which is why they've been voted Best of Omaha again this year. Better yet, it all comes with a transferable warranty. Protect your concrete before winter. Call Everlevel today for your free inspection. Everlevel. They make your driveway Everlevel. Level up.
Take your home to the next level with Level countertops, cabinets, and flooring. If you have a kitchen, bath, or closet that is completely dysfunctional, now is the time to make them functional. Level countertops, cabinets, and flooring is your expert for taking your home to the next level. The staff will listen to your needs and dreams and create a unique space specifically for you and your family. Visit the showroom at 192nd and West Maple or online at levelomaha.com. That's levelomaha.com.
Creighton Sports Update. Creighton women's basketball has another Big East battle at DJ Sokol Arena Wednesday night. The Blue Jays welcome the Butler Bulldogs at 6 p.m. Halftime act Rolla Bola will dazzle the crowd with their daring balancing act. To purchase tickets and follow along all things Creighton athletics, visit gocreighton.com. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton athletics.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. hims.com/radio.
KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, so we have weather watchers throughout the state and throughout the 1620 zoners. Bob says, listening to this morning, Bob's been with us from day one. Are you talking about no snow yet? There's still no snow here. OmaDome?
Come on, OmaDome.
No, I'm telling you guys.
Big money, big money, big money.
This is real.
I mean, I'm with you.
Stromsburg. You guys know that we're Cross County High School.
I used to have to go to Stromsburg quite a bit.
Yeah. Bob sent me a Cross County sweatshirt one time. I still wear it periodically. We've had an inch so far. It's coming down pretty good. You guys be careful out there.
Storm.
Today. Thank you very much, Bob. There are plans in the works. Not sure how far we're going to get with a snow football game, but only if Jacob Bigelow plays. He joins us now. Good morning.
Can we pick teams now?
Good morning. I got the static right when you said there were plans for something. What am I looking to play in?
Oh, so you didn't hear what I said?
No.
Just say yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and you're pick number one. We're picking teams right now.
That would be rare.
We are participating in an athletic event.
That would make it even more rare for me to be picked early, but I will. I'll take this distinguished honor for the time being. Yeah, I'm in.
4:00, snow football, Memorial Park.
Sure. Yeah.
Gary's teaching kids the option.
Yeah.
Perfect. No.
Yes.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, we're going to work backwards here because tomorrow night Nebraska plays Purdue. There was some the guys that were on the show on Friday morning apparently were slandering Purdue.
I was not.
I don't know. You were part of the show on. You were on the part of the show on Friday. You were in this email.
I was not. I was defending Purdue. It was John Schreiner and Jimmy Chavez.
All right.
Yeah, he's Purdue Nick.
Are you we're not even talking about the NCAA tournament yet to rebound. Are you a believer in the team that Nebraska will play tomorrow night at PBA, that they are the number one team in the country?
Yeah, I am. I have kind of had to eat crow on Purdue. I guess I was kind of expecting a sophomore slump from the two guards, Lawyer and Smith, but they've been even better than I expected them to be. I know when people think Purdue, they're like, they just have Edie and he's just taller than everybody, but they've got some supporting cast, pieces. I mean, I wouldn't call Lawyer and Smith supporting cast, but I mean they're part of the show too. And then they're deep. They have they could go real deep with rotations, and they haven't missed a beat aside from a trip to Welsh Ryan Arena where Northwestern seems to turn it up for them. They've beaten them 2 years in a row, but I mean that's been their one hiccup. They've got some really impressive wins over some other really good teams, and right now I am in on Purdue.
So the last two games out for Nebraska, the way they've defended the big man, if you go with Khalil Ware against Indiana, and then you look at what they were kind of up against with Wisconsin, what do you like? What concerns you, especially when it does come to the ball funneling into Edie, on how Nebraska has shown their ability to defend that spot?
I mean, I wouldn't even say the concern is funneling into Edie. I think Purdue is a team offensively that's capable of doing what we saw Wisconsin do, which was passing it out quick, from the doubles, because Nebraska is going to want to try to double on the baseline and double the post touches inside, and if you can get a pass out quick to an open shooter or to someone cutting on the backside or somewhere else, I mean, that's how you take full advantage of the way Nebraska defends. And I think the guys Purdue has offensively, they if they can kick it out to Lawyer or Smith for an open three, or have a guy like Lance Jones cut to the hoop, I mean, there can be plenty of they've got plenty of ways to attack it. And Nebraska, they have some actual they have a post presence with Mast, and they are playing through the post more than we've seen this program do in many years. But they're still Mast is still undersized, and going amongst the trees like Ware and Edie, that can we've seen where that can bite them.
So you remember the old Under Armour commercial? We must protect this house.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that commercial?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yes,
winning on the road is difficult, and Nebraska found that out in Madison. Any road win you get this year in college basketball in the Big East or the Big Ten or the Big 12, for that matter, is to be celebrated. So you have to protect your home court, and so Nebraska gets that opportunity tomorrow night. But I want to go back to the Wisconsin game. Nebraska did enough offensively. They look good offensively. They shot it well. But Wisconsin is on a whole different level this year. And and maybe you agree, maybe you see something with Greg Gard. And I'm not a huge Greg Gard fan. I think he was on the hot seat. But boy, they've turned things around. They've won 10 of 11. 9 have been by double figures. And all of a sudden, we're talking about Wisconsin's offense under Greg Gard, which we don't normally talk about. Why? Why are they so good offensively that we saw firsthand on Saturday?
I mean, I don't want to say it's just the addition of one guy, but I mean, he still did his thing against Nebraska. But bringing in a transfer like AJ Storr out of the portal, for Wisconsin, I mean, they don't have many guys who he's kind of the anti-Wisconsin stereotype. Really athletic dude, he's bouncy as hell. He's throwing down some highlight reel dunks this year. He's the anti, Wisconsin stereotype. But bringing in a guy like him that allows Chucky to, be the facilitator and not have to be the focal point. He can, make plays for guys like Storr and, Crowell and Wall, who I feel like have been there for a decade. But I mean, and the emergence of a guy like John Blackwell too. He's played really well as a true freshman, and they've just found they've found some athleticism, some speed, but they can also still do the death by 1,000 paper cuts Wisconsin basketball that we're used to. So they've found a good balance, and when they're on, they're on, and we saw that on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was left with on Saturday as well. I walked away being more impressed with Wisconsin than being disappointed with Nebraska. But there's one area, just because they were so good against Indiana defensively and just the overall sense of urgency, was that just because of how efficient offensively Wisconsin was, where they just made Nebraska maybe look like they didn't have as much sense of urgency defensively? Or did you see some sloppy play, like legitimate sloppy play, especially kind of in the, I would say, probably the 10-minute mark of the first half, and then it kind of carried into the second half?
I don't know about sloppy, but I mean, Fred said they looked tired even before the game started. He said, when he was talking to Jake and Ken after the game, he told them that they looked tired and prep, and maybe I thought they looked kind of tired, defensively. I wouldn't say sloppy. I think it was just.
Yeah, I think maybe when I say sloppy, maybe more offensively.
No, let's go this way. Didn't they just lose a numbers game? I mean, Wisconsin offensively was methodical, and they moved the ball, and they caught Nebraska in some bad rotations, and then they caught Nebraska in. I mean, when they would go into the paint, it seemed like Wisconsin would have two guys, Nebraska would have one.
No, I agree 100%. I think there's a difference between bad defense and impressive shot making and efficient, really good offense, and I think we saw a lot of impressive shot making and efficient, surgical, really good offense from Wisconsin. I think that was what we saw more of on Saturday, and I think they're to go from Indiana's guards, which are suspect at best, to going up against Hepburn, Storr. We even see the little mini reemergence of Connor Essegian. Wisconsin's guards were super impressive, and then Tyler Wall and Crowell did what I feel like I've seen them do for damn near a decade now. But they were just really good on offense.
They're averaging 76 points a game. I mean, this is a Wisconsin team that we're like, man, can they get to 60?
Mm-hmm.
They're averaging 76. I was really impressed because they have such a methodical approach. But I think one thing played against Nebraska that wasn't just Wisconsin was making every shot's in a make or miss sport. Didn't Saturday kind of reiterate the point that all of us here have talked about, is that Juwan Gary is the most important player on this roster? He got into foul trouble. I don't even think he made 20 minutes.
No.
Yeah, and he didn't have a rebound. I mean, that for the guy who is, your proverbial junkyard dog, who we saw have 11 offensive rebounds on the road in Manhattan, to get held without one, and I think he only made one shot too, if I remember right.
Yep.
For him to be that held in check, I mean, that's Tominaga and Mass did what you want to see them do, but there wasn't a third guy, and you usually want that third guy to be Juwan Gary, and he was held in check.
And I'd even thrown another guy that kind of stood out to me. He got some buckets late in the game, but this is when it was done. And as Bryce Williams, it just didn't seem really into the flow first half, and even the early second half. Even when Nebraska was kind of nearing to a single digit deficit and Wisconsin punch back, just didn't see a lot from him. Again, is that more of just sort of what we've seen from Bryce Williams on occasion, or how Wisconsin was just kind of keeping him as a non-factor?
It's kind of been what we've seen from him. I've kind of half jokingly, half seriously gone to the old Stephen Bardo, does he know how good he can be route, like he did with, like Bardo did with Roby. I've kind of half jokingly, half seriously done that with Bryce Williams because when we've seen him, when he's being assertive and aggressive and going to get his, it looks really good. But there are times where he looks passive and not as aggressive, and we kind of saw that on Saturday, and we've seen it in some other games too. I've kind of jokingly gone, does Bryce Williams know how good he can be? Because when he's hitting threes like he did in that IU game, and the pull-up game that he loves so much, I mean, when that's on, it looks really good. But when he's a little passive, it can be like, come on, man, like go get yours. So,
but aren't we talking about a guy that is injured? He got injured against Wisconsin
at the end of the game.
Yeah,
at the end of the game.
I think you need a good update from Fred today.
Yeah.
When he talks about injuries, you need Bryce Williams. Here's another, and this is I'm concerned about because you're going through a stretch where you don't have many days off, and Nebraska's playing the 2 top teams in the Big Ten back-to-back. I'm starting to wonder about mass stamina. Not long-term, but they need him, and so they're putting 30 minutes on that knee and then 2 days off and another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a window where Mass doesn't need to be a 30-minute guy? Because now I'm starting to think down the road, he can't. I mean, he came back and, then we're going to take him off the floor. He wanted to play a lot. But that's back-to-back games on that knee that he's played 30 minutes, Jacob. Concern or yay or nay?
A little bit, I would say. The people that were up in Madison on Saturday said Williams was walking around after the game with no ice, didn't have a wrap on. He was walking around like normal. So I'm not all too concerned about Bryce, but I would agree with you on the mask front. That's definitely a lot. They've definitely put a lot on him in these last 2 games. And, the word before Indiana was it was legitimately down to a game time decision. And then he played as much as he did and, played about almost close to double what they thought they were going to have him on a minute restriction. So yeah, I would agree. It's that's also why we heard the Blaze Cada mystery last week before Indiana. We heard that they're trying to ramp him up to bring him back. I'm sure they'd love to have some sort of depth to throw in there to at least give Rink a rest. So we'll see how that progresses in the next couple of weeks.
If this game is anything like last year in West Lafayette, if Nebraska's in this game, either who or who's the most important player in this matchup, or how does it become a game where Nebraska's in it there in the last media timeout?
The guards are going to have to defend really well. They're going to have to be, the scramble drill, fire drill defense against Purdue. I don't think that's going to be. I think Purdue's a team that can easily exploit that. They've got a lot of capable shooters, in the backcourt, and you've got a skip pass or an extra pass, you can easily find a guy who can knock down a 3, and the guards are going to have to defend really well. They're going to have to be on their A game to take on, when people were like, "Why aren't you talking about Edey? Why aren't you talking about Edey?" I think he's going to get his almost regardless, whether it's at the line or inside. And you're going to have to defend Lawyer, Smith, Lance Jones, the guys off the bench. You're going to have to be on your A game defending those guys because they've been what's put Purdue over the top.
I agree. I'm glad you brought up Smith. So the game last year in Lincoln was the overtime game that Nebraska kind of got hosed at the end of regulation on a foul call. But I go back to Friday night watching them play Illinois, and the personnel is a little bit different. But Illinois did a great job of preventing one-on-one touches for Edey in the lane. He only had, 5 field goal attempts? Now, the crazy thing is Purdue was rolling, and they didn't need Edey. And then the Illini hung around in that game, without Shannon. So they made it a close game at the end. Does Nebraska have enough bodies to run at Edey that they can prevent touches in the paint? Because I go back to Saturday. That's where Wisconsin made their hay, was the points in the paint and just cleaning the glass. I don't think Nebraska had how many offensive rebounds does Nebraska have? Very few. It took almost until the end of the first half to get one, right?
Yeah, I think it was less than 5 for sure. It may have been 3 if I remember right. I don't have the stats in front of me, but yeah, they're really. Wisconsin dominated on the glass. That's for sure. I don't know who. Matar Jope's got 5 fouls he can use. But they're gonna be doubling him regardless. They're gonna be doubling him with Mast and Gary and Alec. They're gonna be all hands on deck. But I think the biggest, Purdue. I think Purdue's guards aren't getting nearly enough. If you know about Smith and Lawyer, but I think the more casual fan hears Purdue and they just think giant man.
You guys want to guess I don't know what it is. It's not out, but do you want to guess what the line might be for tomorrow?
Purdue -8.5.
I was going to say 7.5.
I think that all is.
That is 8.5 too.
I think that's in the range. I'm trying to look what Ken Palm has.
Around there.
Okay. All right. If people storm the court, you will not be seen on regular TV. You'll have to be streamed.
Well, the students aren't back. Remember, it'll be a slow
game sold out, right?
Court storming.
No, I saw a
What
tweet
the-
within the last hour of them still trying to get people to buy tickets. So
Hey, what are you gonna be doing? What are you gonna be doing tomorrow? You're gonna be 10 inches of snow on the ground. Okay. The number one team in the country is
I'll
coming
be dug
in.
out by then.
Yeah. I mean, how much we forget about that feel good vibe against Indiana, erased on a Saturday in Madison.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people will still be there. I think it'll still be pretty charged
They
up.
better be there.
I tried to
Number
tell
one team in the
people
country.
yeah, absolutely. I don't know if PBA's had a number one team come in. I don't think it has. So it might be first time for everything. But I think the general takeaway from Saturday is not too discouraging for Nebraska, in my opinion. I don't think the sky is falling. I don't think it's panic button. I don't think I think people are going to really look forward to when Wisconsin comes to PBA on the 1st of February. They're going to want another, see what the rematch looks like.
Now you got me thinking of who is the highest ranked team ever to play at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Now I'm scouring. How high? How high was the KU team that came in here?
They were top 5.
I think they were down.
Were they down that year?
I think they were
on the Svi shot.
At least at that time, I think they were top 15. I don't think they were top 5.
They were 13th.
Okay, good call, Jay.
Mediocre by their standards.
Yeah.
There's got to be a Michigan State team that's come in here that's been ranked pretty high.
Yeah, you got to be a Michigan State team, or maybe. No, because Creighton was how high ranked was Creighton earlier in the year? They weren't that high, but that'll be a good little research project. I'll either research it myself or I'll just text Seamus.
I just know that Nebraska has never beaten a number one team at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Creighton was number 15 when they played.
Yeah, but I would assume there's a Michigan State team that has been up there. Pretty high.
There will only be one more ranked team as of right now that'll come into Lincoln, and that's Wisconsin. Must protect your home court.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Right, quick one, get you out of here on this. Who lasts longer at Michigan, Jim Harbaugh or Juwan Howard?
Excellent question. Right now, I would say Juwan Howard by a couple months. I think tonight is probably it for Harbaugh, and we'll see how long that takes to for him to move on. But Michigan basketball, that's not a pretty scene right now, especially after a loss to Penn State.
43-40 in their last 83.
Not great,
and that starts with the loss in the Elite Eight.
Ooh, yeah. No, not a good scene for basketball in Ann Arbor. But two alums, 2 Michigan men, probably on their way out.
Yep. All right. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for your time. And you can do the research project. Get back to us. Nebraska's ever played a number one. How about we do this? The last number one team in the country that Nebraska basketball has played: Coliseum, Devaney Center, or PBA. Because you got nothing else to do today.
I mean, just snowstorm prep, but I'll do the 2-for-1. I'll get you the number one team and the highest ranked opponent. I'll get you both.
Love you long time.
Same to you guys. Good to talk to you guys. It's been a while.
You as well.
See you tomorrow night, and talk to you next week.
That's Jacob Bigelow, who covers Nebraska basketball for Huskers Illustrated, among other things.
I'm again with a loss like that in Madison. Just watching that game, it was so hard to be completely flattened coming off of the win against Indiana and just watching that game play out, because Wisconsin was so impressive. The only area that I was a little iffy on, and that was because they did such a good job of playing the bigs to the guards. And Jacob's right. When you're talking about the guard play with Wisconsin compared to the guard play of Indiana, it's not even close. But the way that they were very active, and it's no wonder that Fred Hoiberg probably talked about them looking a little bit more slow or a little bit tired defensively. Wisconsin just made them look like that. Crowell inside was a beast. I mean, Chucky had Chucky was solid the entire way. And so you had more guards to account for. It was such a much more demanding defensive matchup than it was against Indiana. But again, when we think about some of the Nebraska games that they've lost, offensively, it looks like it's been kind of clunky or lack of flow. Like they had that going on. Their offense didn't look so broken, especially in the first half. Like first 10 minutes, it was a good game. Like I think Wisconsin got out to maybe like a 7-point lead. And then, Casey hits a three or, Sam Hoiberg hits a three. So, I mean, they were getting good looks. Like, and speaking of Sam Hoiberg, like Sam Hoiberg was like shooting the ball with confidence. Like he even had some bad misses. So there wasn't so many things that you could look at, especially a point differential like that and say, boy, Nebraska just completely laid an egg. Like Wisconsin just looked really, really good in that game. So I don't feel completely like dejected for tomorrow night's game of like, well, that was fun while it lasted. Now it's going to be a significantly more challenging matchup than what they faced in Madison. But again, I don't come away so discouraged. Like I still feel like this Nebraska team, from what I saw in the Indiana game and in the loss to Wisconsin, not much different at all. I really didn't lose a lot of sleep over, oh yeah, Nebraska's back to their old ways.
Cheddar's Cheetah, who is a degenerate. He's got the line.
Like that's a bad thing.
No.
Okay.
This is his world. This is his world. I say Purdue 8-point favorite, line total of 151.5.
Good.
So on cue here, famous Seamus tells me that Nebraska is going to try and snap a 5-game losing streak to ranked teams. People forget. Last time Nebraska beat a ranked team in basketball, because they're going to play the number 1 team in the country tomorrow night. Last time they beat a ranked team,
Creighton.
Yep, December 4th, 2002.
Wow.
Whoa. They've lost 5 in a row to ranked teams since.
And those were the days.
That day? That day I
December
remember
02?
because of Nebraska winning at Creighton, but also the Chiefs got beat by the Bengals on that day.
Oh.
Mixed emotions that day.
That was, yeah. Highs and lows. You ride the roller coaster of being a sports fan.
I was watching the game on a plane coming back to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
I made the person next to me bring up the Chiefs game, and I was watching the Nebraska.
Wow,
game.
what a good patron right there.
Yeah,
man. Did you know that person?
Yeah. I said, hey,
Okay.
can we borrow your phone?
I was just making sure it wasn't someone like you're like, hey, you're not using your phone right now.
All right, Amy Jess, we haven't talked to her in a while. Worldwide traveler from Tampa to Sarasota, Florida, back to Lincoln, Nebraska. What do all three have in common? That's where Amy has been recently. She will also be on 1620 The Zone next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. The Connor Happer Show.
Had a bad experience, Josh. Mm-hmm. Would you like to talk about it?
In high school, I had a girlfriend who was trying to change my appearance to be more like Harry Potter. I don't know what tipped me off.
You were like, are you trying to Harry Potterize me?
I don't know if those were the exact words, but that was pretty much the beginning of the end for that.
Wow, what a time.
The Connor Happer Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Winter storm warning in effect Monday. Expect snow to pick up in the metro mainly after 9 a.m., then continue through the rest of the day. Heavy at times through the p.m. hours. Temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Snow continues overnight, lingering into Tuesday morning as winds ramp up. Storm totals around the metro between 5 and 9 inches. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
At Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands, one youth, one mentor, plus one moment could unlock limitless potential. When you sign up to become a mentor, you're matched up 1-to-1 with a child in the Omaha community. Sign up today at mentoromaha.org.
The Zone Hotline is powered by 42 Degrees, The Source, by your mom's house.
Take your home to the next level with level countertops, cabinets, and flooring. If you have a kitchen, bath, or closet that is completely dysfunctional, now is the time to make them functional. Level countertops, cabinets, and flooring is your expert for taking your home to the next level. The staff will listen to your needs and dreams and create a unique space specifically for you and your family. Visit the showroom at 192nd and West Maple or online at levelomaha.com. That's levelomaha.com.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know? Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging, so you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Start learning a new language today. Go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
All right, so we ask and we get answers before we get to Amy. The last time Nebraska played a number one team in the country at home, Kerry Cohorn and John Robinson II were part of the Nebraska team where they each had 22, but Kansas rallied from a double-figure second-half deficit, won the game in overtime before 14K at the Devaney Center, where majority of those were probably KU fans because that's what happened.
The other Jay Skurs.
Drew Gooden had 26 in that game.
Oh, yeah.
February 23rd, 2002. Last time Nebraska played a number one team in the country at home.
That was a CBS game, too. The more you know.
Drew Gooden.
And tomorrow night, the number one team in the country will be a Peacock game as we welcome Amy Just from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Do you remember that game in 2002?
No, but I probably was watching it.
So tomorrow night, and you wrote about this, and by the way, Happy New Year's. We actually violated the Larry David rule because you have until the 7th. Today is the 8th, but we haven't talked to you in a while. You were there against Indiana. You watched what happened in Madison against a really good Wisconsin team.
No, I didn't.
You didn't watch the Wisconsin game? Oh, that's right. You went wrestling.
No. Yeah, I had other things to do.
So let me tell you about what happened in Madison.
I read about it.
The synopsis
I watched some Chucky Hutburn highlights.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you talked about this after the IU game. Why, in your opinion, in your brief time being back here, being around Fred and what you saw last year and saw this year, why do you think this team is different? That they feel more like a possible tournament team than a team that's just trying to survive game to game?
Yeah, I think that their highs are higher than they've been in a long time. And their lows are still pretty low, not gonna lie. But the word that Fred has tried to use this season to motivate his team is consistency. If they can figure that out just a little bit, I think they should be a lock for the NIT. But they got to figure that out.
So is there a part of this team other than, because I'm with you. I think their highs are greater than what we've seen before. And I thought that 20-minute stretch against Minnesota was really bad, but now we're looking at Minnesota and maybe they're not as bad as we thought. But just as far as personnel-wise, a certain area of this team, is there something that maybe has surprised you? Something that has stood out from a player or two that maybe you didn't see coming?
I did not know what their guard situation would look like. I know that Jamarcus played guard for them last year, but I just didn't know with them bringing in Boogie Coleman how much he would play. I didn't know how much their twos or their threes would, run point a little bit. I just didn't know what that would look like. And that was one of my biggest concerns coming into the season, and especially after Aaron Eulis had his situation in the off season. So, you know, I guess I don't want to say pleasantly surprised. I'm just glad that they figured something out. Could it be better? Of course it could, but they are dealing with the cards that they were dealt.
Amy Just, the Lincoln Journal-Star, joining us. Here in Omaha, it has not started to snow, but the Weather Channel has a live reporter in downtown Lincoln outside of Blaze Pizza, and it is snowing in
It is.
Lincoln.
Can confirm that in southeast Lincoln, it is snowing. When looking out of my window, the windshields aren't quite covered yet from all the cars in my parking lot, but before the end of the hour, they will be.
Well, you guys keep all the snow there. We're fine. Okay, so this is a personal thing. I think you need on that bookshelf that's got a lot of awards, you're going to have to make room for another award. I loved your column on the polar bear and the legend that continues to grow on Saturday with him returning to the mat wearing a Nebraska singlet. There's a lot to this, and you wrote about it, and it was, man, there was so much good stuff in there. I don't even know where to start. But why do you think that performance from that young man made his head football coach tear up on Saturday?
Yeah, I just think that no matter what the result was going to be on Friday or Saturday or whatever day that was. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself with Iowa on Friday. That'll be fun. I think that all of the hard work that he put in to radically, drastically change his body to be able to do that in the first place, like that's one of the hardest things that you could do. Like he lost 40 pounds ish is what he said in like 45 days because Manning called him after Thanksgiving and then he wrestled shortly there. Like that's insane. And then for him to win like that was not, like he looked at home. It was one of the things that I put in my column. Like he just looked so happy. He looked like he was at home. And it looked like he, didn't take a 4-year break from the sport, which is also crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and you're right. It wasn't like an intramurals or something like this. I mean, this was Division I wrestling. I mean, big boy wrestling at the Big Ten level. And I know it wasn't a Big Ten opponent, but still, like to be away from that for as long as you are and to be able to pick it up. I know there's such thing as muscle memory, but come on, like that's insane that you could just pick it right back up and be that successful.
Yeah, that was probably the most fun I've had at a sporting event since volleyball day. I'm not gonna lie, it was a blast.
Can we talk about how you cut 40 pounds in 45 days?
Dude.
I mean, I know he said he cut out soda, he cut out sweets. He went from, and this blows me away, eating 8 eggs a day to
That's
just.
what his mom told me. And that is the thing that most people have quote tweeted about that. And I'm just like, look, I'm just looking for an example. And that's what his mom told me, was that he went from 8 eggs to 4 eggs. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I'll throw that in there. And most people have just been like, what? I'm like, I mean, I eat 4 eggs for breakfast. And I'm, not that big. So I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was interesting just the dedication that he's had, working with the nutrition staffs of both football and wrestling to help lean him out a little bit, just focus on the leaner proteins, more vegetables, no snacking. That's the big one. And just, drinking water and not drinking, lemonades and soda and all of that. Those empty calories. And then he just worked out a lot, a lot. But yeah, it's incredible what he's been able to do. I'm just blown away by it. Like, even if he hadn't have won that decisively, or even if he would have lost this weekend, an incredible feat to just get back on the mat. And then for him to win the way that he did was the cherry on top.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he makes relatively quick work of it, do you just building up to it, what was sort of the expectation?
He didn't have any. He was just like, I'm just gonna go out there, trust my training,
Hmm.
And see what happens. Don't do anything dumb. Just do what I was told and just see what happens. And yeah, it's crazy. It's not like he was like, a decent wrestler in high school. No, he was phenomenal
Right.
in high school. Undefeated. Won 70 plus straight matches by pin to end his high school career. 71 of those 73, I think, came in the first period. So, no, he could have gone anywhere to wrestle out of high school and chose football. And now he's doing both, and he's having the time of his life, and it's really fun to watch.
And he's at 285, and I know in your column he talked about what he would like then to be at when he gets back to football, and he's going to be more agile. So what's the plan for him? You mentioned Mark Manning called him after Thanksgiving. Everybody on the football staff, and it wasn't just coaches, it was nutritionists, strength and conditioning. They were all very supportive. So what does the rest of the winter look like for him over in the wrestling room?
Yeah, I think he's going to keep at it. See what happens. It'd be really cool if he would wrestle Friday. No idea if that's going to happen. That would be crazy, going from wrestling against a kid from Wyoming to wrestling against Iowa for your second back. But, whatever happens, it's awesome, right? Like, even if that's the only match that he wrestles all season, incredible. But I have a feeling that there may be more in his future. I just don't know if it's this week.
I know there was a lot of eyeballs now, obviously knowing what kind of a football player he is as well, and that brings more eyeballs to wrestling. I think the conversation is also going to be, and this is probably another area that Matt Rule is somewhat excited about, how this makes him even a better football player next year too.
Yes.
And did he give you any kind of insight of, how that could even translate into even a better year than what he already had this year?
Yeah, he feels that both Matt Rule and Tony White and Nash, I talked to them all think that this is going to help him become a better football player and, lean him out a little bit. He can show off his athleticism even more, right? Because he still had a very athletic season last year when he was playing at 330, 335.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the sky's the limit for him there in terms of just what he'll continue to be able to do, because with him playing at a stronger, lighter weight next year, I would not want to be an offensive lineman in front of him. No thanks.
His agility will be very prevalent. Great job. I appreciate it. I know you were busy. You spent a lot of time in the Vandy Center in PBA, and you'll be right back there tomorrow night. Welcome back. Always great to hear from you, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
It's Amy Just from the Lincoln Journal-Star. Her column after watching Nash, and then everybody she talked to, from his mom to the coaches. It's well worth your read. Man, he's just I'm thinking, as she was explaining like what the future holds. Are we thinking WWE? We have a good year next year. We get drafted. We play a little pro football.
Mm-hmm.
But we have that wrestling background. We got, the polar bear. Yeah. Are we thinking WWE down the road?
It's a name. Well, yeah. And then you've already been promoted as far as your name, image, likeness through, got the SOS commercial now too. So, you've been able to kind of dabble in the advertising world too. Yeah, sure. Like he's the dude. He's such a large human being, but now, and this is the other part about, dropping the weight. This speaks volumes to not only an athlete who's in tune to his body and has been in college for a while, but also I think to the nutrition staff in Nebraska too, to be able to make sure you're doing that responsibly. And I get it at most programs like that, especially when it comes to wrestling, where the weight can fluctuate and you got to get to a certain area, but you want to do it in a safe manner. Like, to be able to go from football to that type of weight. I mean, we're talking about 45 pounds in 6 weeks. Like, that's not just a guy being able to, you have to put the right thing still in your body to maintain. So I think it also speaks volumes to the nutrition staff in Nebraska and what you're able to do that in a
All right, when we come back, love the CFP or hate it. It's huge. It's only getting bigger, and tonight is the last of the 14 Michigan, Washington. Final thoughts, and we'll turn it over to the midday guys. With still no snow in Omaha. It's on the way, boys.
And Connor's here. He's a believer in being at work.
I've checked with my sources. It's coming.
Yeah.
I saw that live shot.
Lincoln's looking like a disaster, and now that the Weather Channel.
Not a disaster.
It's just snowing.
It just looks like it's snowing.
Yeah,
not a disaster.
Oh, anything below 50.
We're back with more mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
Omaha Maverick women's basketball travels to Grand Forks Thursday night to take on the University of North Dakota. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Hear all of the Omaha women's action against the Battlehawks in North Dakota Thursday night at...
How much do you worry about your debt?
With over $15,000 I owe, constantly it keeps me awake at night.
Accelerated debt settlement can cut your debt by up to 85% and in as little as 7 to 12 months.
I could be free of debt in no time?
That's right. Other debt settlement companies can take years to negotiate down your debt, but accelerated debt settlement moves fast.
The sooner I don't have to stress about my debt, the better.
Exactly. In just months, Accelerated Debt Settlement's legal team will negotiate your unsecured debt down 60, 80, even 100%. Your debt from credit cards, student loans, timeshares, medical expenses, and more cut down 60, 80, even 100%. And you'll save thousands of dollars in interest payments.
Finally, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
And a good night's sleep.
Now get free of debt in a year or less with Accelerated Debt Settlement. Just call 1-888-508-8051 and we'll get to work for you. That's 1-888-508-8051. 1-888-508-8051.
O'Reilly. Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's a reason people are joining the movement behind Nikki Haley.
She's a very, very successful governor.
Haley shows us what American foreign policy looks like with the spine.
Your family deserves a president with grit and grace, a different style, not a name from the past. Nikki Haley will secure our border, restore our economy, and make our nation respected once more. Listen to Nikki Haley.
Our moment is now. Our mission is clear. Let's save our country and secure our future, and let's move forward together toward our destiny in a strong and proud America.
Iowa, it's time to caucus. Go to NikkiHaley.com/Iowa to learn more. And on Monday, January 15th, don't forget to caucus for a new generation of conservative leadership. That's NikkiHaley.com/Iowa.
I'm Nikki Haley, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Nikki Haley for president.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
All right, I like Michigan tonight. I like the under. I like J.J. McCarthy Over rushing yards, 23.5. Blake Corum, anytime touchdown. And Westover, right in for Washington, over 25.5 receiving yards. I also like that in a couple of years, this national championship will be vacated.
It never happened. We'll have the Men in Black just completely erase our memory of all that happened tonight. Yeah, I like Michigan winning this one 31-21. I got actually, I do like the McCarthy over on the rushing yards. I'm going to go Penix under 250 throwing, though. I think he's over 200, under 250. I think there's that tight window there. They're still going to get theirs offensively as far as passing yards. But yeah, I think the pressure on him and just kind of taking him out of his rhythm a little bit. Again, I love the way that Minter dialed it up against Alabama, and I think they're going to have a pretty good game plan and try to neutralize. So yeah, 31-21, Michigan wins.
I've thought about this for 4 hours. You guys make great points about Michigan. I wouldn't disagree with them, but I'm going to go ahead and say Washington upsets Michigan tonight, 31-27, or as Lee Corso would say, Washington.
Tom Hart on the SEC Network says Washington wins tonight, 63-14.
Okay.
What? Washington hasn't scored 63 all year.
Man.
This isn't
Come on.
2000.
They're the best
OU,
defense
Texas.
they've faced.
That wasn't Paul Feinbaum saying that?
No, he has Alabama winning.
All right, it's an early one tonight, 6:30. Michigan, Washington. An asterisk or a stain or a UW victory.
It'll be a good game.
Whatever happens, they're all in the Big Ten next year. We'll watch. We'll discuss tomorrow, and also a busy day of hoops tomorrow as well. Be safe out there. It hasn't started snowing here in Midtown, but it is on the way.
Seen some flakes.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right. Smart, safe. Hopefully we'll be all back together tomorrow in some form or fashion to entertain all of you. Enjoy your snow day. Connor Happer Show's next.